We all know that life can feel like a long, tiring road. Some days it's smooth and full of light, but other days it feels endless, heavy and lonely. We've all had those moments when even taking one more step feels impossible, when hope fades like the last star before dawn. But what if, on that same road, someone was walking beside you, quietly, faithfully, guarding your every step? In today's video, we'll talk about finding quiet rest in the journey and how Jesus watches over you every mile. So let's not waste any time and let's begin. The first breath of morning moves through the quiet hills like a sigh of mercy. The road that once slept under the night's cold weight now glimmers with dew, each droplet catching the new sun like a promise reborn. The world stretches, yawning into light. Birds begin their soft chorus, timid at first, then full, as if creation itself remembers who it belongs to. The traveller opens their eyes. The ache in their bones hasn't vanished, but it feels lighter now, softened by the warmth that spills across the horizon. For a moment, everything stands still, not frozen, but reverent. The air holds the scent of wet earth and something sacred, something like peace. The traveller looks around, unsure when exactly the fear began to fade, but aware that it has. The night's questions, will I make it? Will he find me? Have quieted, replaced by a whispering certainty. He already has. Every step feels deliberate now. The dust beneath the traveller's feet, the uneven stones, the stretching shadows. All of it feels known, seen, loved. The path is not merely a road, but a heartbeat pulsing beneath their souls. And though the world is silent, there's another rhythm echoing in sync with their steps. Gentle, steady, divine. The traveller glances at the open horizon, half expecting to see a figure beside them, but the road remains empty. Still, the presence lingers, as real as sunlight on skin. They remember the voice from the night, the one that spoke without sound, that filled their chest with warmth where cold once lived. You are not alone. It wasn't just comfort, it was truth. So they walk. The sky shifts from bruised purple to soft gold, clouds like slow-moving prayers drifting across heaven's face. The road curves lazily ahead, bending toward valleys veiled in mist. It feels endless, but somehow that no longer brings fear. The traveller senses that endlessness is not a curse. It's a canvas for faith. Every so often the wind moves against their face, cool and kind, like a reminder, keep going. I am here. The traveller whispers back, almost without realising it. I know. It's strange, this peace. Not the absence of burden, but the awareness that the burden is shared. Their thoughts wander as they walk, memories rising and falling like waves. The moments they failed, the ones they ran, the nights they thought silence meant abandonment. But here, beneath the slow-growing light, those same memories look different, not as proof of failure, but as steps in a larger rhythm. Every heartbreak had a reason, every detour had a whisper, every fall was caught before the ground met them fully. The traveller pauses near a small stream that cuts across the path. Water rushes clear and quiet, catching light like it was made of glass. They kneel, cupping their hands to drink. The cold shocks their palms, their lips, their lungs. And in that shock is life. It tastes like forgiveness. They close their eyes and breathe deeply. The sound of the water blends with the wind and the rustle of leaves, all of it forming one great living hymn. Somewhere between the sound and silence, the traveller feels it again. That nearness, that gaze. They don't see him, but they sense his eyes upon them. Not judging, not demanding, just watching over. A single tear falls, not from sorrow but release. It lands on the surface of the stream and ripples outward until it disappears into light. For the first time in a long time, the traveller smiles. The sun rises higher now, scattering the last remnants of shadow across the road. Everything that once seemed uncertain looks touched by order. Even the dust glows. The traveller straightens, dusts off their knees, and begins to walk again, slower this time. Not because of weariness, but because they want to see. Every colour, every sound, every breath feels like a gift unwrapped in real time. Far ahead, the path splits into two. The left road is lined with the trees, their branches heavy with morning mist. The right is open, bathed in full sunlight. The traveller hesitates, heart thudding softly. Which way, they murmur, and then a quiet invisible pull. Not a voice this time, but a knowing. Peace settles in the chest. They take the right road. As they walk, the warmth deepens. It doesn't burn, it settles, like sunlight resting on water. The traveller feels it behind them, beside them, within them. Every step hums with presence. It's not that Jesus walks ahead or behind. He walks through them, filling the spaces where fear once lived. And though the morning feels safe, the traveller knows, somewhere beyond the hills, shadows still wait. Fear does not vanish forever, it only sleeps between the light. But for now, the traveller doesn't rush to meet it. They walk slowly, breathing the sacred rhythm of the dawn, the hum of grace beneath their souls. Every sound of life becomes a reminder. The song of a bird, the murmur of wind, the crunch of gravel, all whispering the same truth. You are not forgotten. You are not lost. The road stretches on, infinite and glowing, and though the traveller cannot see what waits beyond the bend, they no longer need to. The light is enough. The presence is enough. And as the day begins in full, a faint tremor of old fear stirs within, distant, waiting, but it no longer owns them, for even the shadows must bow to the light that walks beside them. Morning stretches across the road like a soft golden veil, but even light cannot chase away everything. The traveller walks with slow steps, the warmth of the sun brushing their back, yet there's a weight pressing quietly against their chest. The world feels brighter than it did last night, but inside something darker still lingers, not visible, but present. They pause for a moment, eyes tracing the long shadow that follows at their feet. It stretches, thin and constant, moving exactly as they move. No matter how far they walk or how fast they go, it never leaves. It bends when they bend. It stops when they stop. It is both a part of them and something they wish they could escape. Even in daylight, doubt whispers. It doesn't roar like storms or scream like fear. It murmurs, soft and familiar. What if this peace doesn't last? What if he's gone? What if the silence means you've wandered too far? The traveller shakes their head, but the thoughts cling. Old wounds rise quietly, uninvited. Memories of promises broken, of prayers that once felt unanswered, of nights spent wondering if faith was just a story they told themselves to survive. They glance around, the road empty but for trees swaying gently on either side. The sunlight filters through the branches in fragments, creating patterns of light and shadow that dance across the path. It's beautiful, yet haunting. The traveller feels both comforted and watched. Where are you now? They whisper. You were close before, I felt you, but why do you feel so far today? No answer comes, at least not in words, only the soft rustle of leaves, the creak of branches, the distant hum of life. The silence stretches long, heavy with meaning they can't yet decipher. Their steps slow, the path seems longer now, less certain. Each stone feels sharper beneath their feet, each breath a little heavier. The peace they felt that morning begins to thin, stretched across the distance between what they believe and what they feel. Doubt grows louder. You imagined it, the whisper says. That presence, that warmth, that voice. It was only comfort you made for yourself. The traveller clenches their fists. No, they mutter, more to themselves than to the whisper. I didn't make it up. But the voice persists. Then where is he now? If he was real, you'd still feel him. They stop walking, staring down at the shadow again. It sways slightly on the ground, dark and solid in the sunlight. For the first time they notice something strange. The shadow isn't as dark as before. It's thinner, softer, almost translucent. The longer they stare, the more it seems to shift, as if something unseen is dimming its edge. The wind rises suddenly, moving through the trees in a low hum. Leaves lift into the air, swirling around the traveller like sparks of light. One brushes their cheek. warm, impossibly warm. Then a whisper moves through the air, gentle but clear, threading itself through the rustling branches. I never left. The traveller's breath catches. The words aren't loud, but they vibrate through everything. The air, the earth, their bones. It's not the kind of voice that comes from outside. It comes from everywhere at once. They look around, eyes wide, but see no one, only light, only the wind, only the road that stretches onward, shining faintly now with golden warmth. Their heart steadies. The whisper settles deep inside, echoing softly. I never left. The traveller closes their eyes. Tears form, unbidden. Then why does it still hurt, they whisper. The answer isn't spoken, but felt, like a hand resting gently on their shoulder. Because healing is not the absence of pain, it's the presence of me in it. The wind slows again, softening into a calm hush. The traveller stands motionless for a long time, breathing, letting the words settle. The ache in their chest doesn't vanish, but it changes. It's no longer empty. It holds something. A presence, a promise. When they open their eyes, the world looks the same, yet somehow new. The shadows still stretch beside them, but they're softer now. Not enemies, but reminders. Proof that light still exists. They begin walking again. The road doesn't seem as endless as before. Every step feels different, heavier with memory, lighter with meaning. They realize now that doubt doesn't mean absence of faith. Sometimes it's where faith learns to grow. The trees above sway gently, their leaves whispering in rhythm with the traveller's thoughts. For the first time they understand, even the shadows serve a purpose. Without them, they might have forgotten to look for the light. The traveller whispers quietly, "If you never left, then I'll keep walking. Even when I can't see, I'll trust that you're near." The air hums in reply, peaceful and sure. The shadow beside them moves as always, but it no longer feels like a burden. It feels like a companion, a sign that both light and presence remain. And as they continue down the road, the whisper lingers softly in the wind. Not fading ever. I never left. The traveller smiles through quiet tears, heart steady once more. The sun climbs higher. The shadow shortens. The path opens ahead. Somewhere beyond the horizon, a valley waits, silent, deep, and sacred, where faith will be tested and peace will take on new meaning. The air grows heavy as the traveller descends, the light thinning until it feels like dusk, even though the sun still hangs somewhere above the clouds. Every sound dulls, the crunch of footsteps, the rustle of wind, even the traveller's own breathing. It is as if the valley itself demands quiet. The ground dips low and wide, carved by time and tears, a place where echoes go to die. The traveller's chest tightens. The stillness here is not peace, not yet. It's weight. It presses against the ribs like unseen hands, reminding them of every burden they carry. Their thoughts grow loud. Old fears crawl out from memory's corners. Words spoken in anger, faces of those lost, prayers unanswered. Each one rises like smoke, hanging in the dim air. They stop walking. The silence hums. The valley feels alive, listening. The traveller tries to speak, to pray, but the words come out dry, broken. Lord. Only the wind replies, soft and empty. The sound bounces off the cliffs and fades away. That hollow echo hurts more than any wound. The traveller looks down, eyes tracing the dust beneath their feet, and whispers, "Have you left me here?" No reply, no sign, just breath, their own, shallow and shaking. Minutes stretch into something longer, maybe hours. The sun fades completely, replaced by grey shadow. The traveller sits on the cold ground, their bodies sagging under the unseen weight. They think of leaving, of turning back, of finding another road, but deep inside something, a whisper too small to name, says, "Stay." So they stay. The silence grows thicker. The traveller closes their eyes. They breathe, once, twice, slowly, painfully, and somewhere between those breaths, something changes. The silence doesn't lift, It deepens, but differently now. It's no longer suffocating, it's holding. The traveller realises this isn't the absence of God, it's his nearness in another form. This is not the mountain of glory or the road of revelation. This is the valley of surrender, where faith learns to live without signs. The traveller leans back against the earth. Their palms press into the dirt, cold and grounding. They can feel it, the heartbeat of the ground, slow and steady, pulsing beneath. It feels ancient, older than pain. Maybe that's what trust is, resting in something you can't see, but know has been there all along. Tears come quietly, uninvited but cleansing. They slide down and mix with dust, and somehow that feels holy. I don't understand, the traveller whispers, but I'll stay. The valley does not answer, but the wind shifts just slightly, enough to move a few strands of hair, enough to stir the edges of silence. The traveller lies down fully, the earth cool beneath their spine, the air thick but alive. Breathing becomes easier. The valley doesn't feel like punishment anymore, it feels like waiting, sacred waiting, like a womb holding new life that hasn't yet opened its eyes. They realise now that prayer isn't always noise. Sometimes it's just breathing in the presence that's been there the whole time. Sometimes it's lying in the dark and trusting that dawn is already being written somewhere above the clouds. In the stillness, they begin to notice faint sounds, distant, almost hidden. The murmur of air through cracks in the stone, the soft hum of life beneath the soil, the smallest, most fragile sound of movement. The traveller turns their head and listens closer. It's there. A faint trickle, like breath turning to song. At first, they think they're imagining it, but it grows. A quiet flow, a rhythm that cuts through the silence, gentle yet insistent. The traveller sits up, heart beating faster. Ahead, through the dim mist, light flickers off something that moves. Water. They rise, their legs weak but steady. Each step toward the sound feels lighter, as if gravity itself has eased its grip. The valley seems to open with each pace. Air loosening, space widening. The traveller follows the shimmer, a small thread of silver winding through rock and dust. The closer they come, the clearer it sounds. A melody of movement, of cleansing, of life. The traveller kneels beside it, unable to speak. It isn't grand. It isn't deep. Just a narrow stream cutting through the stone, its surface catching faint light from somewhere unseen. They reach out, touch the surface. It's cold, but it doesn't sting. It soothes. The water slides through their fingers like silk, leaving behind a cool ache that feels strangely alive. The traveller cups their hands and drinks. The taste shocks them. Not sweet, not bitter, but real. It tastes like renewal, like mercy. They bow their head, and for the first time since the silence began, words rise unforced. Thank you. The wind picks up, curling around their shoulders. The valley seems to exhale with them. The traveller sits beside the stream, eyes fixed on the flow. It cuts through the valley floor, moving where it wills, gentle but unstoppable. The traveller smiles faintly. Maybe that's what grace is. Quiet, constant, carving its path even through the hardest places. The valley no longer feels empty. The pressure lifts, replaced by peace that defies reason. The traveller closes their eyes, listening to the water's song, and breathes deeply, fully, freely. Somewhere far above, unseen, sunlight touches the edge of the cliffs. The valley's shadows shift, just slightly, like the world is remembering how to move again. The traveller stays a little longer beside the stream, watching the light reflect and shimmer, a living reminder that even in silence, life continues to flow. The stream widens as the traveller follows it. The water curves through the valley like a silver ribbon, dancing between rocks, catching light that filters from above. The air smells of wet stone and new beginnings. For the first time in what feels like ages, The traveller smiles. They kneel beside the current, dipping their hands once more into the flow. The chill is no longer shocking. It feels alive, almost tender, as if the water itself recognizes them. They drink deeply, each swallow like a promise. The weariness in their chest loosens. The ache in their body eases. Psalm 23 rises unbidden in their heart. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. The words fit perfectly here, not as something remembered, but as something happening. The traveller lies back on the grass, staring up at the cracks of light filtering through the cliffs. The water hums softly beside them, its song gentle, steady, endless. It reminds them that stillness isn't the absence of motion, it's harmony. This peace doesn't erase the road, it makes it holy. Hours drift by like leaves on the stream. The traveller traces shapes in the sky, faces, wings, light. Every cloud seems to carry a story, every gust of wind a blessing. They breathe it all in, each breath an act of worship. When they look down again, the water has changed. Not its path, not its sound, but its reflection. The traveller leans closer. Their face looks back at them. Tired, yes, but softened. Behind their reflection, faint but unmistakable, another figure shimmers. Light bends, taking form. Jesus kneels beside them. Not above, not distant, beside. The image flickers gently, the light alive but calm. The traveller's voice trembles. I thought I was alone. The reflection speaks, not through sound, but through motion. The ripple of water carrying the words. You were never alone. You were only learning to listen. Tears well up again, but they don't sting. They fall into the stream and vanish, becoming part of it, carried away, cleansed, transformed into something that flows forward. The traveller closes their eyes. The sound of the stream deepens, surrounding them like a lullaby. This is not just water. It's the heartbeat of mercy, the song of a love that has walked every valley before them. When they finally rise, the sun has broken through the top of the cliffs, the world gleams, everything feels alive. The road ahead stretches bright and endless, but then, a shift, a murmur in the air, soft at first, then stronger. The wind picks up, brushing through the grass. Far away, the light flickers strangely, as clouds begin to gather again. The traveller watches the horizon darken, grey bleeding into blue. The stream song continues, unbothered. The traveller understands. Peace is not found in the absence of storms, but in knowing the one who walks through them. They kneel once more, cupping their hands for one last drink. The water is colder now, sharper, but it fills them with strength. They whisper, I'm ready. The first gust of wind whirls past, lifting dust from the road. Leaves tremble. Thunder rolls in the distance. The traveller stands tall, drenched in sunlight, but facing the storm ahead with calm eyes. They turn once more to the stream, the place of rest, the reminder of peace. The reflection of Jesus still shimmers faintly on its surface. The traveller nods softly, then steps back onto the dusty path, heart steady, feet firm. The storm will come, but they are not afraid. The first drop lands without warning, a cool sting against the traveller's cheek. Then another, then 1,000 more, falling fast and relentless. Within moments, the calm that had wrapped the valley shatters. The wind rises in a low growl, tugging at the traveller's clothes. Trees bow and groan. The stream that once whispered softly beside the path now rushes wild, its song turning into a roar. The traveller freezes. The storm comes too quickly to outrun. Clouds churn like bruises across the sky, swallowing the light. The air crackles with power, charged, electric, alive. The traveller's heart hammers. They pull their cloak tighter, but it's useless. The wind finds every weakness, slicing through fabric and flesh alike. A flash, white and blinding, tears across the heavens, followed by thunder that seems to shake the bones of the world. The traveller stumbles, covers their ears, and falls to one knee. Every instinct screams, run, but there's nowhere to go. The valley that once felt like sanctuary now feels like a trap. They lift their head just enough to see the sky open wide, rain crashing down in sheets. The ground becomes mud beneath their palms, cold and slick. "Jesus!" they cry, their voice nearly swallowed by the storm. "Where are you?" The answer doesn't come in words. It comes in stillness. Even through the chaos, there's a calm centre, a space untouched by the wind. The traveller senses it, something steady within the tempest, like an anchor beneath a raging sea. They close their eyes, pressing their forehead to the ground. Lightning flashes again, closer this time, so bright it paints the world white for a heartbeat. Then darkness again, and the sound of rain pounding like war drums. "Please," they whisper, "I can't hold on." But another voice, quiet and unbroken, moves through the noise. Not shouted, not distant. It speaks within the heart, soft as breath. "You don't need to hold on. I'm holding you." The traveller gasps. The words feel more real than the rain, more solid than the earth itself. They raise their head and open their eyes. The storm still rages. The wind still howls. The lightning still strikes. But something has changed. The fear is still there, but it no longer rules. The traveller can feel him, not beside, not above, but within. They stand slowly, legs trembling. Rain blinds their vision, but they keep walking forward. Every drop that hits their skin feels like renewal, harsh but holy. Each clap of thunder feels less like threat, more like reminder. Even in fury, God speaks. The traveller remembers something they once heard. Peace is not the absence of storms, but the presence of the one who stands unshaken within them. They whisper it to themselves, again and again, until it becomes rhythm, until it becomes courage. The wind pushes back hard. The traveller leans into it, drenched and shivering, but steady. "You're here," they say aloud this time. Even in this, a surge of lightning illuminates the valley, and in that moment of brightness, they see it. A figure standing at the heart of the storm, not far away, not spectral, real, cloaked in light, unmoving as the heavens tremble. Jesus stands with arms open, rain cascading over, him like glory made visible. His eyes, even from afar, are calm, the kind of calm that commands oceans and silences tempests. The traveller steps forward, knees weak, heart wild. Each step through the mud feels impossible, yet somehow, strength meets weakness. Their feet find firm ground where there should be none. Their breath steadies. The closer they walk, the less the storm hurts. When they reach the figure, the world seems to pause. Thunder fades to a hum. Lightning softens into glow. Jesus doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. His gaze says everything. You were never in danger, only afraid. The traveller falls to their knees again, this time not in fear, but surrender. The rain keeps falling. Oh, Wally. But it feels different now. Gentler. Cleansing. It washes the dirt, the doubt, the trembling from their body. They let it fall freely, head bowed, heart open. For the first time since the clouds formed, they don't fight it. They simply let the storm be what it is. Wild, untamed, beautiful. And in the midst of that chaos, they find peace. When the thunder finally drifts away, it does not vanish. It fades like a song ending on a perfect note. The rain softens to a whisper, dripping from the trees in silver beads. The ground, once hostile, now glows with reflection. Puddles catching what little light the clouds allow. The traveller sits quietly, hands resting in the wet soil. The world smells of rain and earth and renewal. The air feels new, their clothes cling, their hair heavy, but none of it matters. Their fear has melted into reverence. They look up once more, but Jesus is gone. Or perhaps he was never standing there at all, at least not in the way the eyes perceive. Yet his presence lingers, humming beneath the heartbeat, steady as ever. The traveller rises, slow and deliberate. Their knees ache, but their spirit feels light. They close their eyes, breathe deeply, and whisper, Thank you. The words drift upward, carried by mist. The last drops of rain fall like blessings, soft and warm. Above, the clouds begin to tear apart, the first rays of sun cutting through. The light lands on the traveller's face, golden and forgiving. They smile faintly, eyes closed, and lift their palms toward the sky. Every storm ends, but not every heart finds peace within it. Yet here now they do. The road gleams once again, wet, shining, alive. Birds begin to sing, cautious at first, then full. The world breathes out as if relieved. The traveller looks ahead, where the path continues beyond the drenched valley, and for the first time in a long while, there's no rush to move. They know now that every step forward is held, every storm guided, every silence filled. They start walking again, shoes sinking softly into the soaked earth, leaving behind footprints that glisten in the new light. Above them, the last drops fall like grace. The sky once broken, now opens in mercy. The storm has passed. What remains is silence, but not the heavies, kind that press down in the valley. This silence is lighter, open, alive. Every drop on the leaves glistens like a memory of what has been endured. The trees drip softly, their branches trembling under the last weight of rain. Sunlight filters through the thinning clouds, golden and warm, turning each droplet bow into a diamond. The air smells of wet earth and renewal, that scent only storms can leave behind. The traveller stands still, breathing it in. Their body is tired, their clothes cling to them, but the ache feels sacred. They run a hand through their soaked hair, water dripping down their wrist, and laugh, a quiet, almost disbelieving sound. We made it, they whisper, though they know they weren't the one who made anything happen. It was grace, only grace. The ground squelches beneath their boots as they begin to walk again. The road has changed. The dust is gone, replaced by mud that carries the imprint of every step. Each footprint fills with water, mirroring the scar. The traveller realises that even the path remembers what it's been through. It's been softened by the rain, just as hearts are softened by mercy. A bird sings somewhere ahead. One voice, then another, then a chorus. It feels like the world is slowly waking from a long sleep. The traveller lifts their eyes and watches as sunlight catches the wings of a sparrow mid-flight. It dips low, then rises again, its feathers scattering droplets like jewels. Creation rejoices without hesitation, without fear. The traveller envies that, the ease of joy, the instinct of praise. They stop walking and close their eyes. The warmth of the sun presses against their eyelids. Teach me that, they whisper into the quiet. Teach me to be grateful, not after the storm, but inside it. The words hang in the air, and though there is no voice to answer, something inside shifts. Gratitude doesn't wait for calm skies. It grows from within the storm's heart, watered by faith. The traveller remembers how even in the chaos, peace had found them, not because the wind stopped, but because Jesus stood within it, unmoved. That thought fills them now, not with pride, but with humility. They continue down the path, slower this time. Every step feels deliberate. Every sound, the drip of water, the call of distant birds, the crunch of softened earth, becomes part of a song too vast to name. The world hums with quiet resurrection. The traveller notices things they once missed. Tiny shoots of green poking through the soil. A snail inching its way across a wet stone. The delicate curve of raindrops hanging from grass tips. Everything feels precious. Everything feels alive. For the first time in a long while, they're not rushing to arrive anywhere. The journey itself has become enough. The sunlight mat spreads wider now, turning the mist to gold. The traveller looks ahead and sees movement on the horizon, faint curls of smoke rising between the trees. A village, small and quiet, hidden in the folds of the land. Their heart stirs. It's been so long since they've heard voices not their own, laughter that isn't just echo. But before they move forward, they kneel. The ground is still damp, the scent of rain heavy in the air. Thank you, they say softly, not just for the calm, but for the storm, not just for the clearing skies, but for what you showed me when everything broke open. Their words dissolve into the wind, carried like incense toward heaven. They rise, feeling lighter. not because their burdens are gone, but because they're no longer carrying them alone. As they walk, the road widens. Patches of sunlight dance across puddles, reflecting a sky that has turned bright blue again. The clouds, once dark and fierce, drift lazily, soft and harmless. Each step forward feels like walking through a story rewritten, one that no longer ends in fear, but in faith. A breeze passes, cool and playful, brushing against the traveller's face. It feels almost like laughter, gentle, kind, familiar. They pause and glance upward. The sunlight bursts through the treetops in radiant beams. It feels like a smile from above, a reminder that even storms end in song. The traveller's stomach growls softly, breaking the moment's stillness. They laugh again, shaking their head. Hunger feels good now, proof of life, of continued need, of dependence. Gratitude doesn't just belong to miracles, it belongs to every small human thing that reminds the heart to stay humble. They adjust their cloak and continue walking toward the distant smoke. The smell of burning wood and bread drifts faintly on the wind. Somewhere, people are living, working, cooking, laughing, and that thought fills the traveller with warmth. They have walked through isolation, fear, silence and storm. Now, for the first time in what feels like forever, there's the promise of companionship waiting up ahead. The landscape softens as they near the hill's end. Houses appear, simple, small, made of stone and thatch. Children's voices rise faintly on the breeze. A dog barks once, and then goes quiet. The traveller's steps slow again, not from fatigue, but reverence. This moment feels sacred, the crossing from solitude into community, from wilderness into warmth. The road dips slightly, leading down toward the heart of the village. As they descend, they glance back one last time. Behind them, the valley still glimmers faintly with moisture, its surface reflecting light like glass. It's beautiful in its aftermath, proof that even broken places can shine when grace passes through. The traveller turns forward once more. Their pace is unhurried, their spirit steady. Gratitude hums within them like a quiet flame that will not go out. The storm is over, yes, but its lesson remains. Peace was never about calm skies. It was about the presence that stood steady through it all. And so, they walk toward the smoke and laughter, toward the faces they have not yet met, the kindness they have not yet known, the stories they have not yet heard. Ready to rest, ready to share, ready to see what love looks like when it wears human hands and speaks through ordinary hearts. By the time the traveller reaches the outskirts of the village, the world has softened into evening. The sun lingers low, stretching shadows long across the ground. The air carries the scent of wood smoke and wild thyme, and faint laughter drifts from between the cottages like wind through wind chimes. After so many nights of silence and solitude, the sound feels strange. Not loud, not jarring, but deeply human. The road that leads into the village is narrow and lined with wildflowers, bent under the weight of rain. The traveller walks slowly, drinking in every detail. The flicker of lanterns being lit in windows. The bark of a dog in the distance. The quiet rhythm of life moving in peace. It's a small place, humble and worn, but something about it feels sacred, like it's been carved from gentleness itself. An old woman stands outside a cottage, sweeping water from her doorstep with a bundle of reeds. When she looks up, her eyes crinkle with warmth. "You've come far," she says, "and from the look of you, you've weathered much." The traveller nods, unsure how to respond, but the woman only smiles and gestures to her door. "Then you must come in. No one should meet the night with an empty stomach." Inside, the light glows golden. The air hums with the smell of stew, onions, herbs, and bread still warm from the oven. Children's laughter spills from one corner, soft and sheen. A man, with hands like stone, sits by the fire, polishing a simple wooden cross. He glances up, meeting the traveller's gaze. "There's always room for one more," he says, not as invitation, but as truth. The traveller sits, hesitant at first. The woman places a bowl before them, full and steaming. "Eat," she says gently. "The road doesn't fill you, people do." The first bite nearly undoes them. It's not the flavour that moves them, but the warmth. It seeps into their bones, into the quiet parts that forgot what comfort felt like. For a moment, the traveller's throat tightens. They bow their head, whispering a silent prayer of thanks. As night deepens, more villagers gather. They bring loaves, jars of honey, fruit preserved from summer. The table becomes a mosaic of generosity. Conversations spark and overlap. Stories of storms endured, fields replanted, children healed. The traveller listens, heart swelling. These people know hardship, yet their joy doesn't come from what they've gained. It comes from what they've shared. Someone begins to sing. The voice is rough, aged but steady. The melody is simple, a hymn older than memory. Others join in, one by one, until the room fills with sound. The traveller closes their eyes. The harmony isn't perfect, but it doesn't need to be. It's real, it's human, and in that imperfect beauty they feel him, Jesus, not watching from afar, but breathing within the song. The night stretches long, but no one seems eager to end it. When the fire burns low, and only embers glow in the hearth, laughter still lingers in the air. The traveller looks around and sees Jesus in every face, in the woman's wrinkled smile, in the child's sleepy eyes, in the man's steady hands. God is here, hidden in ordinary kindness. Later, the traveller steps outside. The sky has deepened into indigo, stars freckling the heavens like scattered blessings. The air is cool, sweet, with the scent of burning wood and lavender. From the cottage windows, warm light spills out onto the road, painting the night in gold. The traveller inhales deeply, heart full. Thank you, they whisper to the wind. Gratitude feels different now, not a burst of joy, but a quiet flame that keeps burning long after the noise fades. They look back once more at the house, the people, the glow of shared peace, and know this. Love has a way of finding its way into every story, even the ones written in solitude. Turning back toward the open road, the traveller smiles. The path gleams faintly under the starlight ahead. With one final glance, they begin walking again, slower, lighter, carrying the warmth of the village not as memory but as strength. The night embraces them gently. The road stretches on, bathed in starlight, and above it all, heaven watches, silent, kind, alive. The night unfolds like a deep breath, slow and infinite. The stars scatter across the sky, countless, constant, ancient. They shimmer not with distance, but with nearness, like eyes that never stop watching. The traveller walks beneath them, each step echoing softly against the damp road. The world is still, the only sound the soft whisper of wind weaving through grass. Every now and then, the traveller stops to look up. The stars just seem impossibly bright, their light unwavering. You named every one, they murmur, their voice barely above the breeze. And still you remember mine. The thought humbles them, to be known by name now, not for greatness but for existence. That's mercy in its purest form. The road curves gently through open fields. Fireflies blink along the edges, tiny lanterns flickering in rhythm with the traveller's steps. The air smells of rain fading into dew. Somewhere far away a wolf calls, long and mournful, yet the traveller doesn't feel afraid. The sound belongs here, part of the night's song. They find a rise in the land, a small hill where the grass is soft and the view endless. Sitting down, the traveller pulls their cloak tighter and gazes upward. The constellations twist like stories in motion. Orion, the archer, the shepherd's crown. Each one feels older than sorrow, older than doubt. And somehow, knowing that these same lights have watched every generation brings comfort. This sky has seen every heart that's ever broken, the traveller thinks, and every one that's been healed. They close their eyes and listen, not for words, but for pulse. The night has its own heartbeat, and it matches theirs perfectly. A soft rustle draws their attention. A fox darts from the brush, pausing to look their way. Its fur gleams silver under the stars. For a brief second, creation and creature regard each other. No fear, no need to flee. Then, as silently as it came, the fox vanishes into the tall grass. The traveller exhales, smiling. The world feels alive again. Lying back, they let the cool earth cradle them. The stars stretch endlessly above, a cathedral of light. Each flicker reminds them that distance does not mean separation. The same hand that shaped the stars still holds them now. They think of the road, of storms faced, valleys crossed, and kindness found. Every trial now seems smaller beneath this. Even pain feels purposeful here, part of a vast pattern they can't yet see but trust completely. A single shooting star streaks across the darkness. Sudden, bright, gone. The traveller laughs softly, the sound surprising even themselves. "You're still showing off," they whisper, smiling toward heaven. Time drifts like the night wind. The traveller doesn't know how long they lie there. Minutes, hours, eternity. It doesn't matter. For the first time, rest doesn't come from sleep, but from surrender. The horizon begins to pale, a faint glow brushing the edges of the world. The stars flicker softer now, bowing to the coming dawn. The traveller watches them fade, one by one, as if heaven itself were making room for morning. The first light touches their face, warm and gentle. The traveller sits up, heart full. They whisper a prayer, not asking for anything, only giving thanks, for the night that taught them peace, for the stars that never left, and for the God who doesn't need to be seen to be known. As the sun rises, the road ahead gleams faintly, washed in gold. The traveller stands, stretching their arms toward the sky. "I'll follow," they say quietly, "wherever the light leads." The stars fade completely now, disappearing into the blue, not gone, just hidden, still burning where eyes can't see. The traveller smiles, feeling that truth deep within. Faith, like starlight, shines longest when the world grows dark. They shoulder their pack and begin walking again. Each step feels lighter than the last. The morning wind greets them gently, and somewhere behind it, a whisper moves, familiar, loving, eternal. "I'm still here," it says, and they know it's true. The dawn arrives gently, like breath after weeping. The horizon glows pale gold, spilling over the land, as if heaven itself has exhaled light. The traveller stands still at the edge of the rising sun, their shadow stretching long behind them. The warmth touches their face, soft but unrelenting, and for the first time in a long time, they manu. Don't turn away from it. They have walked through valleys, through storms, through silence. They have known hunger and fear, but now the road has brought them here. Not to another place, but to another time. The time to face what was left undone, what still echoes in memory. The traveller closes their eyes. The sunlight pushes through the lids, red and bright, like truth too pure to hide from. Images rise unbidden, faces of people left behind, words once spoken in anger, choices that fractured what could have been whole. Regret swells like a tide, creeping higher with every breath. Their throat tightens. They whisper, "I can't undo it. I can't fix it." The silence doesn't accuse, it listens. And then, somewhere between heartbeat and breath, a voice, gentle, familiar, speaks. "You were never meant to." The traveller opens their eyes. The light has grown stronger, painting the road ahead in colour. The words linger in their chest, soft but weighty. Forgiveness isn't erasing the past. It's releasing it. It's letting grace speak louder than shame. They drop to their knees. The ground is cool, damp with morning dew. "I thought I had to make it right," they whisper. Before I could move forward, the voice within replies, "You don't make it right. You let me make it new." Tears come, quiet but unrestrained. They fall freely, mixing with the earth, salt and soil, grief and renewal. The traveller doesn't wipe them away. Each one feels holy, a confession and a cleansing all at once. The sun climbs higher, the warmth deepens. Every tear that falls feels met, not by condemnation, but by compassion. Jesus does not stand far away. He kneels beside them, unseen yet near, hands resting where the heart hurts most. You don't have to earn this, the voice whispers again. You only have to receive it. The traveller's hands tremble. But I was the one who... I know, the voice interrupts softly. And still, I love you. Something breaks then. Not the heart, but the walls around it. Forgiveness floods in like sunlight through cracks. It doesn't arrive all at once. It moves slow, steady, unstoppable, like dawn chasing shadows back into the corners of night. The traveller exhales shakily, each breath a letting go. They remember the people they hurt, the times they walked away, the moments they failed to love. One by one, they release them, not because the past was small, but because grace is greater. They whisper names into the wind, some trembling, some steady. I forgive you, they say, then quieter still, and I forgive myself. The words don't vanish into emptiness. They rise, carried on the morning air, woven one into birdsong and breeze. The world feels lighter now, as if creation itself had been waiting for this release. When they finally stand, the road ahead gleams with gold. The morning has fully arrived. Every shadow has form now. Every colour seems sharper. Every sound clearer. The traveller looks at their own hands, the same hands that once carried guilt like chains, and sees nothing binding them anymore. Freedom feels strange at first. It's not loud, not triumphant. It's quiet, like a door opening in the mind, like fresh air after years spent underground. It doesn't erase the past. It transforms it. Every wound becomes a scar that speaks. I lived through this. I was not forsaken. The traveller takes a deep breath. The air smells of dew and promise. So this is what it feels like, they say softly. Their chest feels open, wide as the horizon. The weight they've carried has turned to memory. No longer burden, but lesson. Forgiveness has not just cleansed them, it has changed them. The sun continues its climb, higher and brighter. It no longer blinds them. They face it fully, eyes open, unafraid. The past does not define the path, the voice whispers again, close enough to feel. But grace will always walk beside you. The traveller nods, the corners of their mouth lifting into a quiet smile. Then let's keep walking, they say. Their feet find the rhythm again, steady and sure. The path glows beneath the light, and the sound of the wind feels almost like laughter, soft, free, alive. Behind them, the night fades completely, swallowed by dawn. Ahead, the day stretches wide, full of promise. The traveller doesn't know where the road leads next, but they no longer fear what they'll find there. For the first time, they walk not to escape the past, but to live beyond it. Every step becomes worship, every breath thanksgiving. Forgiveness has opened the way, not to an ending, but to a beginning. The light warms their back as they move forward, each footstep marking freedom. And though the sun burns bright, it doesn't blind. It guides. It shows not perfection, but presence. As the traveller crests a hill, they glance back once more, not to linger, but to honour what's been healed. The road behind glimmers faintly in the sunlight, a memory transformed by mercy. Then they face forward again, heart light, eyes clear. The day has truly begun. The day unfolds in quiet splendour. Morning light rests upon the traveller's shoulders, warm and forgiving. Each breath tastes of renewal. Each step feels deliberate, alive. The storm, the silence, the sorrow, all still live somewhere within them. But they no longer lead. Courage does not roar. It whispers. It hums beneath the ribs, patient and steady, like a melody the soul never truly forgot. The traveller walks taller now, not proud, but awake. The weight that once bent their back has shifted. It hasn't vanished, but transformed. Where fear once lived, purpose has taken root. They can still feel it. Fear, lingering at the edges of thought, like a shadow that refuses to disappear completely. Yet, for every tremor of anxiety, faith answers louder. Keep walking. A breeze sweeps across the hills, tugging at their cloak, carrying the faint scent of wild rosemary and sun-warmed grass. The traveller pauses to watch the wind ripple through the field. The moment is small, almost forgettable, yet deeply holy. Jesus does not speak in thunder here. He speaks through sunlight, through motion, through the way the world itself seems to breathe, in rhythm with hope. They recall the words that echoed through the valley, the whisper that broke through the storm. You don't have to hold on. I'm holding you. The memory steadies them now, like a hand on their back, guiding them forward. The road bends toward a ridge. From there, the traveller can see the horizon widening again, gold, stretching into blue, endless and alive. But something within them hesitates. They've been here before, in this moment between stillness and risk. The familiar whisper of doubt stirs. What if you're not strong enough for what's ahead? The traveller exhales, then answers softly, then you'll be my strength. The wind seems to nod, carrying their words away like a promise sealed in air. They begin the climb up the ridge. It's steep but manageable, stones shifting beneath their boots. Each step requires effort. Their muscles ache, but it's the kind of ache that reminds them they're alive. They glance upward at the sun, squinting against its brightness. You don't make it easy, they murmur, half smiling, but you make it worth it. At the top, the land opens wide again. The traveller stops, letting the wind wash over them. From up here, the road behind looks small, like threads woven into the landscape. They can trace where the storm hit, where the valley pressed them down, where the stream renewed their thirst. Every hardship has become part of a tapestry that now glows with meaning. Courage isn't the absence of fear, the traveller realises. It's the will to keep moving, even when fear speaks. It's the strength to face the unknown, not because you trust yourself, but because you trust the one who walks beside you. They take a deep breath, savouring the moment. The air is sharp and cool, full of life. Their heart beats fast, but not from fear, from anticipation. The path ahead winds through a series of low hills, dotted with olive trees and wildflowers. A river glints in the far distance, like a thread of light. Everything about it feels both familiar and new, as if the world has been reborn overnight. As they walk, memories flicker. Faces, words, moments that once made them tremble. Now they feel gratitude instead of shame. Each scar tells a story of survival, of grace given when it wasn't deserved. Jesus has not erased their weakness, he has woven it into strength. The traveller hums softly under their breath, a tune remembered from the village, a song about hope and endurance. The melody mingles with the wind until it feels like the world itself is singing back. The sun climbs higher, casting long shadows that stretch ahead like guides rather than threats. The keys. Travellers' footsteps grow surer. They pass a grove of trees, their leaves whispering secrets to the breeze. Every sound feels alive, every moment purposeful. Even silence seems to shimmer with expectancy. After a while, the road narrows and dips into a hollow. The temperature cools. The traveller slows, scanning the shifting light. Something about this part of the journey feels different, quieter, almost watchful. The path seems to hum beneath their feet, alive with possibility and warning. They tighten their cloak. Fear flickers again, subtle but sharp. The unknown waits somewhere beyond the next turn, but they remember the valley, the storm, the dawn of forgiveness. They've learnt this much. Courage isn't loud. It doesn't boast. It breathes quietly, like a steady flame refusing to die. Stay with me, the traveller whispers, voice barely audible. The breeze stirs in response, gentle but certain. Always. The traveller smiles faintly and keeps walking. Each step echoes softly through the hollow. Their heart beats in rhythm with the unseen presence that walks with them. They don't know what waits beyond the bend. Temptation, perhaps, or trial. But fear no longer rules the story. They've learned that courage does not chase away darkness. It simply keeps walking until the light returns. And though the air grows still, though the path narrows into shadow, the traveller's heart remains open, steady, unbroken. They rest their hand briefly over their chest, feeling the pulse beneath, the reminder that life itself is proof of grace. Then, lifting their chin, they face forward. The sun dips slightly, turning the sky amber once more. The traveller's shadow stretches long before them, a silent companion leading the way. The world feels both fragile and infinite, and somewhere deep within, faith hums louder than fear. The road curves, darker now, as trees crowd closer on either side. The air cools, the light fades. Something in the distance shifts, unseen. The traveller stops, listening. The whisper returns, not of fear, but of awareness. This is where courage is tested. The traveller nods once he's steady. Then let it be tested, they murmur, and step forward into the narrowing path. The path splits into 3 directions. The traveller stops. Each road glows faintly under the morning light, each one beautiful in its own way. One curves toward a forest wrapped in mist. Another stretches across an open plain, where the wind sings like freedom, and the last disappears into a canyon carved deep into shadow. The traveller's heart beats faster. Choice is supposed to be a blessing, but right now it feels like a burden. Every part of them wants to move, anywhere, as long as it means progress. Standing still feels unbearable. The silence presses close, as though even the earth waits for their decision. They take a few steps forward, then stop again. Which one? They whisper, but no answer comes. The wind shifts, rustling the trees, but it offers no clear sign. All 3 roads look promising. All 3 whisper invitation. The traveller looks down, feeling the old ache of impatience stir again. They've been walking for so long, through so many trials, and now, when the way seems open, they can't tell which is right. The urge to do something rises, loud and insistent. Their fingers twitch, their body restless. Anything feels better than waiting. They glance upward. If you're here, they murmur, why won't you show me? The breeze moves again, brushing their cheek, cool and soft. But the direction is still unclear. It's maddening. This silence that follows obedience, this quiet that tests trust. The traveller closes their eyes, breathing hard. Inside a storm brews, one made not of wind or thunder, but of desire. The desire to move, to decide, to control. Patience feels too much like surrender, and surrender feels too much like weakness. They open their eyes and look again at the roads. The one toward the plain seems easiest, open, bright, safe. They could cover more ground, make progress, feel the satisfaction of movement, but something about it feels hollow. The mist-covered forest feels mysterious, alive, full of potential, but also uncertain, unpredictable. The canyon, dark and narrow, looks dangerous, but it calls to a different part of the heart, the one that craves meaning in struggle. They take a hesitant step toward the forest. The grass bends beneath their boot, and the air cools instantly. For a moment, it feels right, until the quiet voice inside says, not yet. The traveller freezes. They close their eyes again, jaw tightening. Not yet, they whisper. But I'm ready. The voice says nothing more, but its weight lingers, gentle, unyielding. Not yet. The traveller exhales, trembling. Waiting has never been harder than this. It's easier to face storms than to face stillness. Easier to endure chaos than to endure quiet. Every instinct screams, move forward or fall behind. They drop to the ground, sitting in the dirt where all 3 paths meet. Their hands dig into the soil, grounding them in something real. You ask me to walk by faith, they whisper, but you don't say when. Silence again. Only the wind answers, wrapping around them softly, almost like comfort. Time stretches. Minutes become hours, maybe more. The traveller watches shadows shift, birds fly, clouds drift. Nothing changes, and yet everything begins to. The longer they sit, the clearer the stillness becomes. Waiting is not punishment, it's invitation. It's the refining of desire. They realise that not every open road is meant to be taken. Some are tests, mirrors of the heart's restlessness. Some paths exist only to teach discernment, to show the difference between impatience and calling. The traveller leans back, eyes half closed. A memory surfaces. Jesus asleep in the storm, calm when the world raged. Maybe this too is a storm. One of spirit, not skiwayowaskae, and maybe the only way to survive it is not to act, but to rest. They let out a slow breath. Then I'll wait, they say aloud, though the words taste strange at first. Even if it takes all day, even if it takes forever, the moment the words leave their lips, something within settles. The tension drains from their shoulders. The air feels different, warmer, kinder, almost humming. They look up, and though the 3 roads remain, the panic is gone. They notice something small then. A bird perched on a branch nearby, still as stone. It doesn't move, doesn't fidget, doesn't flee, it just is. When it finally takes flight, it doesn't hesitate. It moves because the wind carries it, not because it fears stillness. The traveller smiles faintly. They understand now. Movement is not what pleases God, trust is. They rise slowly, brushing the dirt from their palms. The roads remain silent, but the decision no longer weighs heavy. The waiting has become worship. The pause has become prayer. The traveller steps back from all 3 paths and sits beside the nearest tree. They lean their head against the trunk, feeling its heartbeat through the bark. They close their eyes and breathe deeply, once, twice, 3 times. I'll move when you move, they whisper. The leaves rustle gently, like an answer carried on the wind. And so, they wait. The world doesn't rush. The sun dips low, painting the horizon in shades of fire and peace. The traveller feels their spirit quiet. Their pulse align with the rhythm of something greater. Patience, once unbearable, has become strength. Restlessness has become reverence. When they finally open their eyes, the roads no longer confuse them. The forest no longer tempts, the canyon no longer threatens, the plain no longer distracts. They feel peace, not because they've chosen, but because they've trusted. The traveller smiles softly, resting in the holy stillness of not yet. The traveller wakes to a world that refuses to move. The air is cool and perfectly still, as if the earth itself has paused its breathing. The morning sky hangs pale and hushed, the horizon wrapped in thin mist. No wind, no rustle, no sound. Even the birds remain hidden in their nests, waiting. The traveller sits up slowly, feeling the stillness settle deep into their bones. For the first time in what feels like forever, there is nowhere to go. No sound of running water, no whisper of direction, just quiet, vast, complete, and almost frightening. The road ahead stretches blank and unmoving, like a scroll unrolled but unwritten. The traveller stands and looks around. "Are you here?" they ask softly. The words seem to fall short of their destination, swallowed by the thick silence. It feels strange, not the harsh emptiness of the valley, but a gentle quiet that demands reverence. They take a few steps forward. Each one echoes too loudly against the still ground. The sound of their own breath feels intrusive. The absence of noise reveals everything else. The racing of their thoughts, the pulse in their ears, the nervous shifting of their hands. Stillness, it seems, has its own way of uncovering truth. The traveller exhales, trying to settle their mind. "If you're silent," they whisper, "then teach me how to listen." They sit down beside the road, folding their legs beneath them. The earth is cool, grounding. The mist thickens for a moment, wrapping around like a veil. In that cocoon of quiet, time loses meaning. Minutes feel like hours, hours like eternity. At first, the silence is maddening. Every part of them craves movement, distraction, sound. Their thoughts scatter in every direction, replaying memories, questioning choices, anticipating what comes next. But the quiet doesn't bend to their restlessness. It waits, patient and unchanging. Eventually, something inside the traveller begins to yield. The noise of thought starts to fade, giving way to something deeper, awareness. They start to notice small things, the faint hum beneath the ground, the rhythm of their heartbeat, syncing with the slow pulse of the world. Stillness, they realize, isn't the absence of sound. It's the presence of everything unspoken. The traveller closes their eyes and lets the silence settle fully. It's heavy at first, pressing against them like weight. But slowly, the weight shifts into warmth. a soft pressure that feels less like burden and more like embrace. For a long while, there's nothing but breathing, in, out, steady, alive. Then, from somewhere beyond thought, a whisper surfaces. I am here. The traveller's eyes flutter open, though they see no one. The words are not heard with ears, but with the soul. They vibrate through the chest, gentle, yet undeniable. I am here. The traveller's throat tightens. Tears sting their eyes, not from sadness, but from relief. I thought you were silent, they whisper, voice trembling. The unseen voice moves through the air like a breeze that isn't wind. Silence is not my absence, it is my invitation. The traveller bows their head. Then what do you want me to do? The air hums softly. The simplicity of it pierces deeper than any command ever could. No striving, no achieving, no proving, just being. Being in his presence. Being loved without earning it. Being known without explanation. The traveller exhales, slow and trembling. They let their body relax fully, sinking into the ground. Their palms rest open on their knees, fingers twitching slightly, as though letting go of something invisible. Stillness holds them like water, soft and surrounding. For the first time, they realize how much noise had lived inside their soul. Fear disguised as control, guilt disguised as urgency. The need to keep walking just to feel worthy of walking. All of it begins to quiet under the weight of this sacred pause. I don't have to move to be close to you, the traveller murmurs. It's not a revelation shouted from a mountain, it's a truth whispered in the dirt. The silence deepens again, but it's not empty now. It hums with presence. It breathes. It listens. The traveller understands. This is prayer too. Not words, but awareness. Not sound, but surrender. Time stretches further. Light shifts gradually from silver to gold. The mist thins, revealing the landscape again. Soft hills bathed in morning glow. The road winding on. The traveller rises slowly, stretching stiff limbs. Their heart feels different. Not loud, but steady. The stillness hasn't changed the world. It has changed how they see it. What once looked barren now feels alive. What once felt delayed now feels divine. Every step they've taken, every silence endured, has been leading here, to this peace that doesn't need answers to remain whole. They look up toward the sky, now clear and endless, and whisper, "You're not far at all." The wind stirs in reply, gentle as breath, and for a moment, everything stands perfectly aligned. Heaven and earth, soul and silence, creation and creator. The traveller begins walking again, not because they must, but because stillness has given them direction without words. The path glows faintly beneath the sunlight. Their feet press into the dirt softly, like each step is an act of reverence. Silence no longer feels like waiting. It feels like knowing. It feels like trust. As they walk, the traveller senses it. A stirring, deep within, quiet but sure. Not a voice this time, but a calling. A pull from the heart outward, gentle yet irresistible. Stillness has spoken, and now the soul is listening. The morning feels different. The stillness of yesterday has not vanished, it has transformed. What was once silence now moves like music too soft for ears, a rhythm felt more than heard. The traveller walks slowly, each step syncing with the pulse within their chest, steady, grounded, alive. The road stretches forward, glowing under the soft light of dawn. Mist curls above the grass, catching the gold of sunrise. Every breath feels purposeful, every motion deliberate. Something has awakened inside the traveller, something that hums with quiet direction, though no words have been spoken. They pause for a moment and press a hand over their heart. Beneath the skin, the pulse beats strong. It's not just a body keeping time, it's a message. Each beat whispers the same truth over and over. You are here for more. For so long the traveller thought purpose would come in a flash. A voice from heaven, a sign in the sky, a command shouted through the clouds. But this is gentler. Jesus speaks not through thunder, but through peace, and that peace fills every space. Fear once occupied. As the traveller walks, they notice how everything around them seems to echo that peace. A brook trickles nearby, its rhythm in tune with their steps. The wind moves through the trees like a sigh of blessing. Even the light itself feels alive, bending and shimmering as if to affirm, you're exactly where you need to be. The traveller thinks back to the roads behind, the valley, the storm, the waiting. Each season had its ache, its lesson, its silence. But looking back now, it all makes sense. Each trial was a note in a greater song. Each delay, a part of a rhythm they couldn't yet hear. The pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. They stop by a clearing and sit upon a smooth stone, the sun warming their back. Their pack rests beside them, forgotten. Eyes closed, they breathe deeply, letting the world's rhythm settle around them. Inside that calm, something rises, a thought, a feeling, a calling, not made of words but certainty. It comes softly, like a ripple across water. You are meant to bring peace where fear once ruled, to speak comfort where silence has hurt, to remind others that I am near. The traveller's eyes open slowly, the weight of the message sinking deep. They stare at the open path before them, the way it winds gently through the fields, and whisper, "That's why I'm still walking." The realization doesn't explode within them. It simply is, a truth so clear it requires no proof. They finally understand. The road was never about reaching some distant destination. It was about transformation, about becoming someone who carries light into every shadow. The traveller rises again. The air seems to shimmer with unseen energy, the same kind that filled the stillness. It feels like walking inside a heartbeat, one belonging not to them, but to the one who made them. A flock of birds lifts from the trees, soaring upward in perfect unison. The sight fills the traveller's chest with warmth. Everything in creation seems to be moving in harmony with the same unseen rhythm. Purpose isn't discovered, it's recognized. It was always there, waiting beneath the noise. They keep walking. The peace within them grows steadier with each step. The call doesn't demand action, it invites surrender. It doesn't tell them to achieve, only to be faithful. A gentle voice moves within, not separate from thought, but interwoven with it. You don't have to do great things, you only have to walk where love leads. The traveller smiles faintly. "That I can do," they whisper. They reach a bav or a rise in the path, where the view opens wide. The horizon spreads before them, hills, rivers, endless skjor. The sunlight spills over it all, vast and golden. The traveller feels the immensity of it, and yet, somehow, the intimacy too. To be small in such a world, and still be known, that is grace. They lift their arms slightly, palms open, as if to let the wind carry what they cannot speak. "Use me," they say softly. "If this road leads to others, let my steps leave peace behind." The wind answers, wrapping around them like an embrace. Not forceful, not loud, just sure. They begin to walk again, not faster, not slower, but freer. There's no map now, no urgency, just direction, inward and forward at once. Their heartbeat aligns with something divine, steady as breath, deep as ocean. As the day lengthens, shadows stretch across the road. The light flickers softer, like a candle dimming before twilight. The traveller knows peace doesn't mean ease. Every calling brings its resistance. They feel it, a shift, faint but present. The peace within them remains, but somewhere ahead, something stirs. The air grows thicker, the light less forgiving. The world seems to hold its breath. They tighten their cloak, anchoring the peace within their chest. "If you lead me into darkness," they whisper, "then let your light within me be enough." The words feel right, not defiance, but trust. The traveller walks onward, heart steady, spirit open. The path narrows as they move into the dusk. The golden glow fades to grey, and the soft hum of the heartbeat within grows louder. It is not fear, it is readiness. The traveller presses a hand once more to their chest and smiles. "You're still here," they say quietly, almost to themselves, even when the night comes. And from somewhere unseen, gentle, unwavering, the answer comes, always. The path darkens before the traveller realizes it. The light that once stretched long and golden now bleeds into shadow, the air growing heavy with something unseen. Each step feels slower, harder to lift. The road hasn't changed, but something inside has. The peace that carried them begins to tremble. The traveller stops. The silence is thick here, different from the holy stillness they once knew. This silence feels like a held breath, waiting, watching. They press a hand to their chest, feeling the steady beat that once brought comfort. But now it races. A familiar unease coils deep within. Guilt, pride, doubt. Ghosts they thought had been left behind. They whisper into the air. Why does it return? I thought I was past this. The answer does not come from around them, but from within. A voice, quiet yet sharp, echoes in the corners of their mind. Were you ever free, or just distracted? The traveller's stomach tightens. The voice sounds too much like their own. Another joins it, darker, colder. You've walked so far, and still you stumble. You call it faith, but maybe it's just pretending. They take a step back, glancing around. Shadows twist at the edges of vision, moving when they shouldn't. Shapes rise in the dusk, not creatures, but memories. Faces from the past, choices they buried, words they regret. Every wound they thought healed begins to ache again. The traveller clenches their fist. No, they whisper. That's over. I've been forgiven. The shadows laugh, low and cruel. Forgiven, maybe, but not changed. The traveller turns away, but the voices follow, weaving through the thought like smoke. Doubt digs in deeper. Pride stirs. The need to prove, to defend, to earn the grace already given. I've walked this far, they argue aloud. I've endured the storm, the silence, the waiting. I've learned. The shadows whisper back. Then why are you still afraid? Something breaks inside. Anger surges, fierce and sudden. The traveller shouts into the dark. Because I'm human! The cry echoes down the road, bouncing off unseen walls until it fades into quiet again. Their breathing quickens. The shadows draw closer now, no longer distant. They take shape, not as monsters, but reflections. Versions of themselves. The coward, the liar, the doubter, the proud. Each one steps forward with their own accusation. You failed. You hid. You tried to fix what you couldn't. You trusted, but only halfway. The traveller stumbles back, overwhelmed. They want to run, but there's nowhere to go. The road seems to close behind them, forcing them to face what stands before them. Then, a light. It's faint at first, just a glimmer somewhere beyond the fog. But it grows. It isn't blinding or distant. It's gentle, steady, alive. The figures flinch from it, their edges blurring. The traveller turns toward the glow, heart pounding. The light moves closer, slow and patient, until it stands before them. Jesus. He says nothing at first. He doesn't need to. His gaze meets theirs, and in that moment, everything hidden rises to the surface. Every shame, every secret, every unspoken fear. His eyes don't accuse. They see, completely. The traveller can't bear it. They drop to their knees, tears spilling freely. I thought I was strong, they whisper, but I'm still broken. Jesus kneels beside them, his hand resting lightly on their shoulder. You were never meant to be unbroken, he says softly. You were meant to be mine. The words pierce deeper than guilt ever could. The shadows stir, resisting the light. But one by one, they begin to fade. The reflections crumble like dust blown away by mercy. The traveller trembles. But I keep falling, they say. Jesus smiles, not the smile of dismissal, but of understanding. Then fall toward me. They close their eyes, letting the words wash over them. The air warms, the weight on their chest eases. Slowly they look up. And the battlefield is gone. The shadows have vanished. The road stretches clear again, bathed in silver light from the rising moon. The traveller exhales shakily. It's over. They ask. Jesus stands, offering a hand. It's never over, he says gently, but it's won. The traveller takes his hand, rising to their feet. The night is calm again, quiet, but alive with peace. The kind that doesn't erase the past, but redeems it. They walk side by side for a while. No words spoken. The air smells of rain and renewal. The traveller glances toward him. Will I face it again? He nods. Yes, because growth is not freedom from struggle. It's learning to let me fight with you. The traveller's lips curve into a faint, weary smile. Then I won't be afraid. Jesus looks ahead, eyes full of light. You never have to be. They walk until the moon sits high, casting silver across the path. The traveller feels the warmth within their chest return, not the restless fire of fear, but the calm flame of faith rekindled. For the first time in a long while, the traveller understands. Victory isn't loud. It's quiet. It happens not on mountain tops, but beneath the skin, in the choice to trust when everything inside wants to flee. They look at their hands, scarred, trembling, but steady. The road glows faintly before them, peaceful once more. The traveller breathes deeply and whispers, "Thank you." And somewhere within the still night, the words come back. Not from without, but from within. Rest, child, you are safe now. Night settles softly, wrapping the world in silver and stillness. The traveller feels it before they see it, that quiet sense that the journey has slowed, not ended, but paused by divine design. The air carries no tension, no threat. Even the wind has hushed its voice. As if the earth itself were whispering, rest now. They find a small hollow at the side of the road, where the grass bends gently and the stars spill their light like scattered prayers. The ground is cool but not cold, damp with the memory of dew. The traveller removes their cloak, spreading it out before lying down. For once, the body doesn't ache with exhaustion. It sighs, like something long burdened that has finally been allowed to let go. Their eyes lift to the night sky. Stars blink slowly, steady and alive. Each one feels like a guardian, ancient, patient, placed by a hand that never forgets. The traveller exhales deeply. It's quiet tonight, they murmur, voice small in the vastness. Not empty, just safe. They think of all the roads behind them, the valleys that crushed, the storms that tested, the silences that broke them open. Every moment, every ache, has brought them here. But tonight, the lesson is not struggle, it's surrender. Do I have to keep moving forever? They whisper, half to themselves. Or is this what you meant me to find? The breeze shifts slightly, brushing through the grass. It doesn't answer in words, but in warmth. The traveller closes their eyes. Within that stillness, they sense him again, not far away, not approaching, but already here, present, constant. Jesus doesn't need to arrive because he never left. The traveller can feel it, a nearness that isn't bound by sight. The air itself seems to hum with his presence, low and soft, like the world breathing in time with heaven. The fear that once lived in the chest is gone. The mind no longer spins questions. It simply is. They whisper, "If I stop walking, will you still stay?" A pause. Then clear and steady, the answer forms within. Even when you sleep, I do not. The traveller smiles faintly. The truth settles deeper than sleep ever could. Then I'll rest. They roll onto their side, pulling their cloak closer. The grass tickles their fingers. The stars blur overhead. The body sinks further into the earth's soft cradle. For the first time, rest doesn't feel like giving up. It feels like worship. A way of saying, I trust you enough to stop. Time slows, the world narrows to breath and heartbeat. In that half-dreaming state between wakefulness and sleep, memories drift by. The laughter of the villagers, the light breaking through the storm, the moment of forgiveness under morning sun. Each one moves gently across the mind like waves on a quiet sea. And then, in that quiet space, something beautiful happens. The traveller dreams. It's not like other dreams. Not scattered, not senseless. This one feels guided. They see themselves walking again, but lighter, almost luminous. The road glows beneath their feet. Fields bloom where they step. Water flows clear from dry ground. The air is alive with colour and song, and at the centre of it all stands a figure, familiar, radiant, serene. Jesus! He stands watching them, a faint smile in his eyes. He doesn't call out, doesn't beckon. He simply watches, the way a shepherd watches over his flock. Protective, proud, loving beyond measure. His gaze holds no demand, only assurance, you are safe, you are mine. The traveller steps closer, but the dream begins to fade. The light softens, the air thins. Before it disappears completely, they hear him speak, not aloud, but through the very air that fills their lungs. Rest isn't the end of your journey, it's the strength for the next one. The words linger, sinking deep into the heart. The traveller smiles even in sleep, murmuring softly, "Then I'll rest until you wake me." And so they do. The night stretches on, long and peaceful. The world sleeps beside them, trees swaying in slow rhythm, stars standing sentinel overhead. The moon hangs low, bathing the road in pale light. It feels like time itself has stopped to keep watch. Hours pass like moments. The traveller dreams again, this time of hands, scarred, steady, resting gently over their own. They feel warmth radiating through them, filling every corner that once held fear. Even in sleep, they know those hands. They've always known them. When dawn begins to stir, it comes quietly. The first hint of light brushes the edges of the sky, painting it in hues of rose and gold. The traveller's eyes flutter open. They blink, disoriented but peaceful. The night's chill is gone, replaced by the soft touch of morning air. They sit up slowly, stretching. Everything feels new. Not changed, but renewed. The fatigue that once clung to their limbs has lifted. The heart feels full, not of excitement, but calm certainty. They glance upward. The stars have faded, but the memory of them lingers. "You kept watch," they whisper. A warmth moves through the air, faint but unmistakable, like a reply breathed through sunlight. The traveller smiles, eyes half closed. "I know," they murmur. "I felt it." For a moment, they stay there, still, grounded, alive. Rest has done what striving never could. It has restored the soul. It has reminded them that peace isn't found at the end of the road, but in the one who walks every mile beside them. They gather their cloak, sling their pack over one shoulder and rise. Ahead, the road glows faintly in morning light. Something calls within, not a command, not urgency, but a pull as gentle as dawn itself. They take one last look at the place where they slept, at the grass still pressed flat from where they lay, and whisper, "Thank you." Then, turning toward the light, they begin to walk once more, not hurried, not weary, but rested in the kind of peace that never fades. The morning unfolds in gold. Every blade of grass glimmers with dew, and the air hums softly, alive with the sound of waking creation. The traveller walks beneath a sky that feels impossibly wide, painted in hues of light blue and amber. Ahead, a hill rises from the earth like a promise, quiet, steady, waiting. They pause for a moment, squinting against the sun. The hill isn't large, but something about it draws the heart. It feels sacred, as though every step upward will reveal something unseen, something meant only for those who have walked long enough to truly see. The traveller grips their cloak tighter, smiling faintly. "All right," they whisper. "One more climb." The path upward begins gently, winding through patches of wildflowers that sway with the morning breeze. Bees hum lazily between blossoms, and the scent of earth and life fills the air. Each step feels lighter than the last, not because the journey is easy, but because the burden has changed. Gratitude walks beside them now, quiet and strong. Halfway up, the traveller stops to rest beside a large stone, its surface warm from the sun. Looking back, they see the world stretching endlessly behind them. Valleys, rivers, winding roads, fading into memory. For the first time, they can trace the entire path, see how every curve, every detour has led here. The valleys that once felt endless now shimmer like threads of silver woven into a greater design. A smile breaks through their exhaustion. It was never wasted, they say softly. Not one step. The breeze carries their words upward, as if delivering them to heaven. The traveller stands again, placing a hand over their heart. Gratitude fills the air, not loud, not forced, but overflowing. Every scar, every ache, every night of doubt now feels redeemed in the light of understanding. What once hurt now teaches. What once broke now blesses. The climb grows steeper, and the traveller's legs begin to ache. The path narrows, winding between stones and roots. Sweat beads along their brow. The wind picks up, tugging at their cloak, testing their footing. The hill, though beautiful, does not surrender easily. The traveller grits their teeth, whispering, "You've brought me this far. Help me finish this too." Each breath becomes a prayer, each step an act of faith. The higher they go, the stronger the wind becomes, until it feels as though the air itself is testing their resolve. Yet beneath the wind's force, another presence moves, firm, unseen, holding steady. At last, they reach the crest. The world opens wide. The view steals their breath. Before them stretches everything. The road behind, the road ahead, the endless expanse of creation, painted with the colours of morning. Rivers flash like ribbons of glass. Forests breathe in waves of green, and distant mountains shimmer beneath the rising sun. The traveller stands in silence, her heart pounding, overwhelmed by the immensity of it all. "This is what you see," they whisper. Everywhere at once, every step, every soul. A warmth moves through them, not from the sun, but from within. They feel it pulse through their chest like a heartbeat that isn't their own. In that stillness, they know they are seen, known, and deeply loved. The traveller kneels, not out of exhaustion, but reverence. "Thank you," they say, the words trembling with emotion, "for not letting me quit, for not letting me walk alone." Tears fall freely, but they're not tears of sorrow. They are gratitude made liquid, spilling onto the earth. They close their eyes and let the wind dry them away. After a while, the traveller opens their eyes again and looks toward the horizon. There, faint but clear, lies another stretch of road. It disappears into a haze of gold, distant and radiant. The sight stirs something inside them, awe and a touch of fear. "You're not done with me yet, are you?" The wind answers with a soft, playful gust that lifts a lock of their hair. The traveller laughs quietly. "Didn't think so." They rise slowly, feeling strength return to weary limbs. From the hill's summit, they can see where faith has carried them, and where it must carry them still. The road ahead looks uncertain, winding through shadow and light alike. But the hill has taught them this. Every climb leads to clarity. Every struggle reveals something sacred. They stand there for a long time, memorizing the view, letting the peace sink deep into their spirit. Gratitude fills every breath. The traveller knows now that the journey isn't about distance, but depth. It's not about reaching the end. It's about learning to see God in every rise and fall. When they finally begin to descend, the sunlight feels warmer than before. The wind is still strong, but it no longer feels like resistance. It feels like guidance. Each gust seems to push them gently forward, whispering of trust, of purpose yet unfolding. The traveller presses a hand to their heart again. Beneath their palm, the pulse beats steady and sure. "You're with me," they murmur. Every climb, every fall, every breath. The hill behind glows faintly in the morning light, standing like a monument to grace. The traveller smiles once more, steady and sure, and steps down the slope with renewed strength. The road stretches before them again, familiar but new. The call that began as a whisper now beats in rhythm with their heart. Trust, it seems, is not a lesson learned once, but a song to be sung with every step forward. The The traveller begins the ascent just as the sun tips past noon, its light sharp and unrelenting. The hill behind them fades into haze, the road below vanishing in the shimmering heat. Ahead, the path rises steep and rocky, twisting between jagged ridges that reach toward the sky like the ribs of the earth. It's not the first climb they've faced, but it feels different, heavier, quieter, purposeful. The air thins as they rise, each breath drawn harder than the last. Sweat clings to their neck and brow, the weight of their pack pressing deep into tired shoulders. The stones beneath their boots shift with every step, testing balance and resolve. But they keep moving. They don't climb for glory now, or out of pride. They climb because they were called to, because faith, once awakened, refuses to rest on level ground. Halfway up, they stop to catch their breath, leaning against a jut of stone. The view behind is wide, hills layered like folded fabric, rivers glinting in the distance. From this height, everything looks small, almost peaceful. The traveller closes their eyes, chest rising and falling slowly. "You've brought me this far," they whisper. "Give me strength for the rest." A gust of wind brushes past, cooling the heat from their face. It's soft but steady, carrying with it a presence too familiar to mistake. They open their eyes and smile faintly. "You're here," they murmur. "I know." The climb continues. The road narrows, curving upward through shadow and light. Sometimes the traveller can see the summit, gleaming like a promise. Other times, the rocks hide it completely. Each time the view disappears, doubt creeps in. That subtle whisper, what if you never reach it? What if this is too much? They stop again, wiping dust from their hands. "I've thought that before," they say quietly, "and you've never failed me yet." The words steady them. They take another step, then another. Every movement feels slower but stronger. Deliberate, deliberate, deliberate. This isn't the frantic striving of the past. It's obedience in motion. Every time the muscles burn, every time the lungs protest, they remember. Strength isn't found in ease, but in surrender. The rocks grow sharper, the incline steeper. The traveller slips once, catching themselves with a trembling hand. Pain shoots up their arm, and for a moment they sit, dizzy and gasping. "I can't," they whisper, forehead pressed to the ground. The silence that follows is long. Then, a voice, not booming, not distant, but clear and near. "You don't climb alone." The traveller's eyes flutter open. For a heartbeat, the sunlight flickers differently. Golden, warm, alive. They feel it before they see it. A strength that isn't their own, moving through their weary limbs. A calmness seeping into their bones. Slowly, they rise again. Their steps are steadier now. Their breathing slows. The rhythm of the climb changes. Not easier, but empowered. Each handhold feels guided, each foothold sure. Trust deepens, not because the mountain softens, but because the presence grows stronger within the struggle. The traveller begins to hum under their breath, a simple tune remembered from childhood, one sung in faith before they even knew what faith was. The melody wraps around the wind, echoing softly between the rocks. With every verse, courage grows. Above, the path sharpens into narrow ridges. The traveller presses onward, leaning forward, gripping stone and air alike. Clouds begin to form, drifting low, brushing against their face like cool cloth. The sunlight breaks through them in beams, turning the climb into a dance of shadow and gold. They pause once more to look down. The world below seems endless now, rivers twisting like silver veins, valleys glowing in soft colour. From here it's clear how far they've come. Every hardship that once seemed senseless now looks like a step in divine order. Nothing wasted, nothing random. Tears prick their eyes. "It was all part of it," they whisper. "Every pain, every pause." They look up again. The summit is closer now. A gleam of white stone against the ski, but the last stretch is the steepest. The traveller grips the rock, muscles shaking, every fibre straining. The climb becomes a prayer, not in words, but in will. Their body aches, but their spirit hums with life. Breath by breath, they whisper, yours, yours, yours. Then at last, their hand finds the top. The final pull takes everything left. Strength, faith, surrender. They drag themselves up, falling onto solid ground, chest heaving. For a long while, they just lie there, staring at the sky. Clouds drift lazily above, sunlight spilling through. The air up here feels different, thinner, purer. Every sound fades until all that remains is heartbeat and wind. The traveller sits up slowly, legs trembling but steady. The view stretches forever, mountains upon mountains, a horizon kissed by light. The road behind looks impossibly long, and yet, from here, it all fits together. Every valley, every storm, every silent waiting, all woven into the climb that brought them here. They smile through tears, whispering, I never climbed alone. The wind rushes gently past, carrying warmth, peace, and something unspoken, a quiet sense of arrival. The traveller closes their eyes, placing a hand over their heart. The pulse is strong, steady, no longer their own. At last, they stand. The summit waits in quiet glory, the while. Traveller takes a slow breath, eyes lifting towards the light that crowns the peak. It burns golden, soft, yet powerful, like truth unveiled. Something inside them stirs, not exhaustion, but expectancy. They take a step forward, drawn by something higher than sight. Trust, forged in the climb, beats through their every breath. The summit gleams ahead, and they know revelation waits there. At the summit, the world opens into eternity. The traveller stands breathless, not from exhaustion, but awe. The climb's ache fades into insignificance beneath what now surrounds them. Light, vast and alive, spilling across the mountains like liquid fire. It's not the harsh glare of noon or the fading gold of dusk. This light is different. It doesn't shine on things. It shines through them. The traveller blinks, shielding their eyes. Yet even with eyes closed, the glow seeps through. Not blinding, but filling. Every heartbeat hums in rhythm with it. Every breath feels borrowed from it. The air itself vibrates, holy and whole. They drop to their knees, overcome, whispering, this is you. There are no words for it, not really. The light doesn't speak in sentences or sound. It simply is. It carries meaning beyond language. Truth that cannot be taught, only received. Its glory made gentle, power made intimate. Every fear the traveller ever held, every question they carried begins to dissolve. They look down toward the valleys below. The same valleys that once swallowed them in despair. From this height the shadows look soft, almost kind. The storms that once raged now glimmer faintly like silver threads. What once felt like chaos now reveals itself as design, woven into a tapestry only visible from above. The traveller laughs softly, tears spilling down their cheeks. You were there, they say, voice breaking, even when I thought you weren't. A wind rises, not cold or cruel, but warm and alive. It wraps around them like a living robe, carrying the scent of rain and flame. In it, they hear a voice, not distant thunder, not command, but the same tone that spoke to them in whispers on the road. Always. The word echoes through their bones. The traveller presses a trembling hand to their chest, feeling their heart answer. For so long, faith had felt like walking in the dark, trusting in what couldn't be seen. But now, here, sight and faith finally meet, not to replace one another, but to complete. Every scar, every ache, every moment of loneliness, it all stands bathed in that same golden light. The pain wasn't wasted, it was transformed. The brokenness wasn't a flaw, it was a doorway. The traveller finally understands what trust has been building toward all along. Not control, not certainty, but surrender. The light swells, expanding outward until it feels as though heaven itself leans close. The traveller stands again, their shadow gone, their body almost weightless. They feel as though they could step forward and walk straight into eternity. "Why show me this?" they whisper. "Why now?" The wind stirs again, lifting the edges of their cloak. The voice answers softly, "Because you needed to see what has always been true." The traveller closes their eyes, overwhelmed by the peace that follows. It's not the peace of stillness, it's the peace of understanding. The road had never been random. Every twist and trial was a step closer to this moment. The valleys taught endurance, the storms taught faith, the waiting taught stillness. And now the light teaches vision, the kind that sees God not just in glory, but in grit. They turn slowly, looking across the horizon. The light touches everything, rivers, trees, the faint outline of distant roads. They realize this is not an ending, it's a vantage point. From here, they can see paths leading outward in every direction, like veins of purpose spreading across the earth. "You don't just want me to see," they murmur. "You want me to go." The realization settles deep. This revelation isn't meant to be kept, it's meant to be carried. The light isn't theirs to own, it's theirs to share. As the thought forms, the glow around them changes. It softens, condenses, no longer filling the world, but filling them. The warmth settles behind their ribs, in their breath, in their blood. It becomes part of them, not a vision to chase, but a presence to bear. The traveller breathes deeply, their chest expanding with holy fire. "Then send me," they say, voice trembling but sure. "Where you lead, I'll go." The wind rises again, almost singing now, swirling around them like music made of sunlight. The traveller closes their eyes as it lifts their hair, their spirit, their heart. When the light begins to fade, it doesn't vanish. It simply moves inward, glowing faintly beneath their skin. The traveller stands at the edge of the summit, no longer overwhelmed, but renewed. Their body still trembles, but their soul stands still, anchored in divine calm. Below, the valleys lie quiet, bathed in soft gold. The traveller takes one final look, memorizing the sight, not for nostalgia, but as reminder. Every low place, every dark season, now shines with purpose. Nothing was wasted, nothing forgotten. "Thank you," they whisper, "for letting me see the truth beneath it all." The wind slows, gentling into silence. Only the sound of the traveller's breathing remains. Their eyes turn toward the horizon once more. Beyond the mountains, a faint glimmer of a new path calls, different, untravelled, alive with possibility. The traveller adjusts their cloak, steadying themselves. The climb has ended, but the journey is far from over. What lies ahead is not just walking, but living the light they've been given, carrying it into shadowed places, into hearts still lost in storm. They begin the descent, slow and sure, the ground firm beneath their feet. The summit's glow lingers in their steps, following them like a quiet flame. As they walk down from the mountain, they whisper the only words that seem to fit the moment. Not loud, not grand, just honest. "Wherever you send me, I'll shine." The air at the mountain's base feels different, not thinner like before, but fuller, richer. The traveller walks slowly, feeling the ground firm beneath their feet, the warmth of the sun pressing against their back. The light from the summit hasn't faded. It lingers, glowing faintly within their chest, pulsing like a heartbeat not their own. The climb had burned away their fear, and in its place, something new has taken root. Quiet strength, steady purpose. Each step forward feels guided, deliberate. They no longer walk out of uncertainty, but out of calling. The hands that once trembled now move with assurance. The heart that once carried pain now carries peace. They look down at their palms, scarred, rough, healed, not perfectly, but meaningfully. Every mark tells a story of survival, of grace that met them at their breaking point. "This is what you've been doing," they whisper softly. "You weren't just teaching me to endure, you were teaching me to become." The wind stirs, gentle and affirming. The traveller smiles faintly. The path now opens into a wide field scattered with wildflowers and low grass. A river runs nearby, its water clear and cool. The sound of it is familiar, not the storm's roar, but the same rhythm they heard once before. in the valley where grace first flowed through dust. They kneel beside the riverbank, cupping their hands to drink. The water tastes of memory and promise. As they drink, a warmth spreads through them, subtle but strong. It's not just refreshment, it's renewal. The same spirit that strengthened them on the mountain now settles deeper within, not fleeting, not borrowed, but abiding. As they rise, movement catches their eye across the field. A figure walks slowly along another road, weary, burdened, limping slightly. Then another and another. Travellers, each lost in their own journey, each carrying the look of someone who's seen too much darkness. The traveller hesitates. Their instinct is to move quietly, to keep walking their own path. But something deep inside, the same light that once called them upward, now pushes outward. You're sending me to them, aren't you? They ask, not as complaint, but as realization. The voice that answers is soft, yet unmistakable. I gave you strength not to keep it, but to share it. The traveller exhales, nodding. Their steps quicken as they move toward the others. When they approach, one of the weary souls looks up, eyes hollow but curious. You've come from the mountain, the stranger says hoarsely. You look different. The traveller kneels beside them, offering a hand. I've come from where you're headed, they say, and I've learned that even the hardest roads can lead to light. The stranger hesitates, then grips their hand. Their touch is cold, weak. But something changes the moment contact is made. Warmth flows between them, unseen but undeniable. The traveller feels it. The same power that carried them through their trials now moves through their fingertips, gentle, yet transformative. The stranger's expression softens. Tears fill their eyes. How do you keep walking? They ask quietly. The traveller smiles, a mixture of sorrow and hope. Because I'm never walking alone. They stay with the group for a while, listening, sharing, tending to tired feet and heavier hearts. They don't preach, they don't instruct. They tell stories instead, of the valley, of the storm, of the climb, and of the light that never left. Each story is a seed, small but alive, taking root in those who hear. One woman, her hands trembling with grief, whispers, "You make it sound possible." It is, the traveller says gently. Not easy, but possible. They teach them to rest, to breathe, to listen for the presence that speaks in silence. They show them how to wait without despair, how to trust without sight. The same lessons that once broke them now become the gifts they give away. As the day fades, the traveller helps them build a fire beside the river. Flames flicker, dancing against the darkening skamisaskewi. The faces around the fire glow with warmth and exhaustion, but also hope, fragile, flickering, but real. The traveller sits quietly, watching the light reflect in the eyes of those around them. You were right, they whisper under their breath. The pain wasn't wasted, it became something sacred. The fire crackles. A child sitting nearby leans against their shoulder, eyes half closed. You're not leaving, are you? The child asks drowsily. The traveller looks into the flames. Not tonight, they answer softly. Tonight, we rest. And for the first time, they understand what it means to serve. Not by leading, but by loving. Not by carrying others' burdens entirely, but by walking beside them until they remember how to carry their own. Later, when the stars rise and the others drift into sleep, the traveller gazes upward, the sky wide and endless. The same constellations that once guided them now shine over this new circle of travellers. The firelight flickers across their hands. Hands no longer defined by wounds, but by purpose. They whisper into the night, "Thank you for trusting me with your light." The wind moves through the grass, carrying an unspoken reply, one that sounds like blessing, like peace. As dawn begins to blush at the edges of the horizon, the traveller stirs the fire, ready for what comes next. The light in their heart glows brighter, pulsing with quiet command. The mission is clear now. The journey that once healed them has become the path they'll walk with others. The traveller stands, eyes fixed on the horizon where new roads await. "Let's begin," they whisper. The morning rises soft and silver. the air thick with the smell of rain that never came. The traveller walks with calm purpose, the rhythm of their steps guided not by urgency, but by quiet conviction. The road before them splits and winds through a wide plain, dotted with scattered trees, each one standing like a sentinel against the endless horizon. Birds wheel overhead, crying out as though announcing the day's work has begun. The traveller doesn't know where this path leads, but they no longer need to. The light within, that steady, living flame planted atop the mountain, guides each step. The journey is no longer about arrival, but encounter. The traveller senses that today something will shift. Someone will be waiting. By midday, the sun breaks through the clouds. The traveller stops at a crossroads, where two paths meet beneath an old leaning tree. There, sitting in the dirt, is a man, thin, dust-covered, his clothes torn, his head bowed low. He doesn't look up when the traveller approaches. His hands fidget with a broken piece of rope, twisting it, like a habit born of pain. The traveller kneels beside him. "You've been walking a long time," they say softly. The man glances up, eyes hollow, voice rough. "Too long. I've lost the way." The traveller studies him. There's a depth in his gaze, the kind that comes from carrying sorrow for too long. Sometimes losing the way, the traveller says, is how we learn to stop running from the one who's been walking beside us all along. The man looks away, jaw tightening. "If he's beside me, he's been silent." The traveller's expression softens. "He was silent with me too." But silence isn't absence. It's how he waits until we can listen. The man's shoulders shake. Not from anger, but from something breaking open. A sound escapes him that's half laugh, half sob. The traveller doesn't speak again. They just sit there beside him, letting the quiet hold the space. After a while, the man drops the rope. "You really think there's still something left for me?" The traveller reaches into their pack and pulls out a small piece of bread. "There's always something left," they reply, handing it to him. Even hunger can become holy when it reminds us who we depend on. The man takes it, eats slowly. For the first time, the lines on his face seem to ease. "You talk like you've been where I am." "I have," the traveller says simply. "And he met me there too." When the man finally stands, he looks stronger. His voice steadies. "Then maybe I'll keep walking." The traveller smiles. "Good. Just remember, you don't walk alone." They part ways, and as the man disappears down the left-hand path, the traveller continues along the right. But something inside them has shifted again. Each encounter leaves a mark, not a burden, but a deepening. Further along the road, near the bend where the land dips toward a small river, the traveller meets a young woman sitting on a rock, her head buried in her hands. She looks up as footsteps approach, her face streaked with tears. "Please," she says before the traveller can speak. "Don't tell me it gets better. I've heard that too many times." The traveller shakes their head. "It doesn't always get better," they answer honestly, "but it does get redeemed." The woman frowns, confusion flickering through her grief. "Redeemed?" "Made meaningful," the traveller says. "Even pain can grow fruit if you let God hold it long enough." The woman stares at them, tears glinting in the corners of her eyes. "I don't know how to believe that." "That's okay," the traveller says gently. "You don't have to believe it right now. Sometimes belief isn't a shout. Sometimes it's a whisper you let survive the night." The woman covers her mouth, choking back a sob. The traveller places a hand on her shoulder, light but steady. The warmth that flows through that touch is the same quiet power that had held them in their lowest valley. For a long while, neither of them speaks. Only the sound of the river fills the air, the current running endlessly. A reminder that movement continues, even when hearts feel still. When the woman finally looks up, the sun has broken through the clouds again, painting her face in soft light. "You make it sound like he never stops coming for us," she says. The traveller smiles faintly. He doesn't. He just waits until we stop running. They leave her by the river, her eyes following the flow of water with something new. Not joy, not yet, but peace. The kind that takes root quietly and grows unseen until the time is right. By evening, the traveller finds themselves walking a road surrounded by others, some familiar, some new. Faces once hollow now carry light in their eyes. People walking not just towards something, but with someone. Every conversation of the day lingers in the traveller's chest like echoes of hope. Each word spoken, each tear shared, has left something behind. Humility. They realize that this mission is not about fixing others. It's about being present, about offering what was freely given. As twilight descends, the road hums softly with the steps of many. The traveller feels it, the shared pulse of human hearts rediscovering rhythm. They walk quietly among them, no longer the lone wanderer, but part of something greater. The stars begin to appear overhead, their faint glow mirrored in the eyes of those walking beside them. The traveller looks up, then back at the faces around them, and whispers, "This is the miracle, isn't it? Not that I've been found, but that I get to help others find their way home too." The wind rises gently, carrying warmth through the cool air. The traveller's heart swells with both gratitude and awe, a reminder that the greatest journeys don't end, they multiply. The road grows quieter as the days stretch on. The crowds that once walked beside the traveller have scattered, some continuing forward, others resting where they found peace. The path, though not empty, feels lonelier again. Yet this time, the solitude carries a different weight. It's not the ache of abandonment, but the heaviness of love, the kind that doesn't fade when the people do. The traveller walks slowly, the air cool and clear. The sunset paints the sky in soft streaks of violet and rose. For a while, the beauty is enough to distract from the ache in their chest. But as the wind settles and night draws near, the silence returns, and with it, the echo of every story they've heard. The grief, the hunger, the sorrow in trembling voices. They stop by the side of the road and sit upon a smooth stone. Their hands hang loosely between their knees, but their heart feels full. Too full. "Lord," they whisper, eyes on the fading light, "it hurts to care this much." The whisper of wind answers, gentle but solemn, "Love that costs nothing heals nothing." The traveller's throat tightens. They think of the man at the crossroads, the woman by the river, the faces of those who trusted them enough to share their pain. Each one lingers in memory like a candle flame. Beautiful, but fragile. "I thought I was strong enough," the traveller says softly, "but their sorrow feels like it's inside me now." The wind rustles through the grass again, warmer this time, carrying a faint scent of wild flowers. You were never meant to carry it alone. The traveller looks up. The road stretches out before them, silver under the rising moon. Somewhere beyond the horizon, they can almost feel him walking, not distant, but near. The memory of his touch on the mountain still burns faintly within. They close their eyes. In the stillness, the images come. Flashes of others' pain. A mother weeping for a lost child. A man crushed by regret. A child too young to understand why prayers go unanswered. The traveller's heart clenches under the weight of it. Empathy isn't just seeing, it's feeling, absorbing, breaking open. Tears sting their eyes. "How did you do it?" they ask, voice trembling. "How did you love us, knowing how much it would hurt?" The wind slows, the air thickens with presence. Then, in the quiet, the voice comes. Not loud, but unmistakable, because love that does not break cannot be called love. The traveller bows their head, the words slicing through resistance. The pain they feel is not a punishment, it's participation. A small share in something vast, eternal, divine. To love deeply is to enter another's suffering, not to save them from it, but to remind them they aren't alone in it. Their tears fall freely now, soaking into the dirt. "I can't carry it," they whisper. "It's too much." The answer comes instantly, soft but sure, "Then give it to me." The traveller exhales, shaky and slow. They close their eyes tighter, and for the first time, they imagine what it means to let go, really let go. They picture every face, every ache, every story gathered like stones in their palms. Then, with trembling hands, they lift them upward. The air around them glows faintly, subtle, golden, like sunlight remembered. They feel something. Hands, unseen yet undeniable, take the weight from their grasp. Warmth floods their chest, spreading outward, gentle but powerful. The traveller sobs, the release so deep it shakes them. "You carry both," they whisper. "Theirs and mine." The wind moves through the trees with a sound like laughter. Not mocking, but joyful, the sound of heaven's relief when a soul finally surrenders. The traveller wipes their face, breathing deeply. The ache remains, but lighter now, transformed. The love is still there, but it no longer crushes. It moves through them instead, flowing freely like a river no longer dammed. They stand again, knees trembling slightly. The moon has risen high, casting silver light across the path. Every blade of grass glows softly, as though lit from within. The traveller walks on. Their steps are slower now, but more deliberate, grounded. Every time the memory of another's pain returns, they don't resist it. They breathe it in, whisper a prayer, and let it go again. Compassion doesn't fade. It breathes. It becomes rhythm. Inhale the world's sorrow, exhale divine grace. Hours pass. The night deepens. The stars seem brighter than usual. Countless, burning, alive. Each one feels like a life, a soul, a spark of the Creator's breath scattered across eternity. The traveller tilts their head back, watching, heart calm. I understand now, they murmur. To love like you do isn't easy, but it's worth everything. They continue walking until the landscape opens into a valley filled with soft mist. At its centre, a stream glints beneath the starlight. The traveller kneels beside it, dipping their hands into the cool water. The reflection that looks back is changed. Not older, not worn, but wiser. They smile faintly. The scars remain, but now they shine. The heart still aches, but it beats with purpose. Compassion, they realise, is not weakness. It's divine strength in human form. It's the heart of Jesus, alive in every act of mercy, every quiet prayer, every tear shed for another. The traveller whispers, "Teach me to keep loving, even when it hurts." The wind replies, low and kind, "That's how you'll keep believing." The traveller stands, the moonlight catching the faint glow in their eyes. The reflection of a heart both wounded and renewed. They step back onto the road, carrying not burdens now, but blessings. Proof that love, though costly, always leads home. Morning arrives not with trumpets of sunlight, but with a hush, the kind of stillness that feels sacred. The traveller wakes beneath a canopy, a pale gold. The air cool, the world washed clean by unseen rain. They stretch, feeling the steady rhythm in their chest, that heartbeat that has followed them through storm and silence alike. Only now it feels different, stronger, quieter, alive. Faith has always been there, but for the first time, it doesn't feel like something they have to hold on to. It feels like something holding on to them, no longer doctrine memorized or belief recited. It has become pulse, breath, being. The traveller rises slowly, gathering their cloak and standing in the gentle light. Every sound seems sharper now, the murmur of the wind through trees, the faint call of birds in the distance, the ripple of water nearby. Each one feels alive, as if creation itself breathes with the same unseen spirit. They walk, slow and thoughtful, along a road that winds through a field blanketed with wildflowers. The colours sway in rhythm to the morning breeze, a quiet song of praise in motion. The traveller smiles faintly. For so long, they searched for God in thunder, in revelation, in signs carved into stone. But now they feel him in the smallest things, the scent of wet grass, the warmth of sunlight on their palms, the steady inhale and exhale of life itself. As they walk, they whisper softly, "You're closer now, aren't you?" The voice that answers is not separate from the air, not distant. It moves within and around, gentle but real. "I've always been close. You are just finally breathing with me." The traveller closes their eyes for a moment, letting those words sink deep. They inhale, slow, deliberate, and it feels like the world moves in rhythm with them. The same presence that once felt unreachable now dwells within the quiet rise and fall of their lungs. They pass a grove of trees, their leaves whispering secrets to the wind. For the first time in a long while, The traveller does not wonder what lies ahead. Faith no longer asks for answers. It simply trusts the unfolding. The unknown doesn't frighten them now. It fascinates. Along the path, they see a fallen branch, heavy, splintered, its bark scarred from storms. They kneel beside it, running their fingers along the rough surface. "You've endured too," they murmur. But look, new shoots. Tiny leaves sprout from the broken wood, small but alive. Growth out of ruin, life out of loss. The traveller smiles. "Faith," they whisper. "That's what you meant all along, isn't it? Not perfection, but persistence." The light through the trees grows brighter, golden and warm. They continue walking, and each step feels like worship. Not the loud kind, not hymns or rituals, but the quiet, steady reverence of a soul aware that every breath is grace. They begin to hum, a tune without words, carried by the breeze. It's not planned, it simply happens. And as it rises, something within stirs, not emotion, but communion. The boundary between themselves and God feels thin, transparent, gone. Memories drift across their mind, the valleys, the storms, the moments they thought he'd left. But looking back now, they see something else. Footprints beside theirs through every shadow. Every silence was his patience. Every delay, his mercy. Every fall, his invitation to rise again. Faith has stopped being about seeing God and has become being with him, in the ache, in the laughter, in the breath between words. The traveller stops near a small hill, watching as sunlight spills over its crest. The glow feels almost tangible, wrapping around them like a blessing. "I used to think faith was walking toward you," they whisper. "Now I see it's walking with you." The wind responds, soft but clear. "That's all I ever wanted." The traveller's eyes sting. They breathe deeply again, letting peace fill every space that used to ache. Hours pass as they walk. The world moves in slow harmony. The shadows shifting, the birds circling lazily, the sky opening wide. Every part of creation feels in step with something unseen but certain. It's not movement for the sake of reaching. It's rhythm for the sake of living. When the road bends toward a small valley, the traveller pauses. Ahead, the land dips into rolling fields, the air carrying the faint sound of water. It's beautiful, but their heart tugs faintly, like the air has thickened with something deeper. A strange ache fills the traveller's chest. Not fear, but awareness. Faith breathes steady within, but it stirs with a quiet warning. Some things are coming that will test this peace. Not destroy it, but refine it. They look to the Skalmoy. Clouds gather softly in the distance, small and white, but moving fast. The traveller exhales slowly. "You're preparing me, aren't you?" The answer comes not as sound, but as warmth in the chest. "I'm walking with you through it." They nod once, steady. "Then I'm not afraid." Their voice is calm, but beneath it lingers a tremor, not of doubt, but anticipation. Faith that breathes is faith that must also endure. The road that once led to healing now leads to testing, and yet, for the first time, the traveller feels ready. They take another step, the wind brushing gently through their hair. The rhythm continues. Heartbeat, breath, trust. The air hums softly around them, a living pulse that speaks without words. Faith is not a fire that burns once and fades. It's the steady glow that keeps rising, even when the world darkens again. The traveller smiles, eyes fixed ahead. "Then let it breathe," they whisper. "Through every trial, let it live." And as they walk down into the valley, the sunlight follows, warm and unyielding. A quiet promise that even in loss, love will remain. The air grows heavy as evening falls. What was once a sky of gold fades into grey, and the road that had shimmered with light now lies dim and still. The traveller feels the shift before they see it. That quiet pull in the chest, the subtle change in the wind that whispers of something ending. They walk slower now, each step heavy, deliberate. The hum of faith within them still beats steady, but it trembles beneath the weight of something unspoken. Ahead, The path narrows into a valley, draped in mist. Its silence so thick it feels alive. Even the birds have stopped their song. The traveller pauses, scanning the dim horizon. Why does it feel different tonight? They whisper. But the question floats unanswered, lost in the still air. They keep walking, though something inside them resists. The silence deepens with each step, until it presses against their ribs like unseen hands. Then it happens, not a sudden disaster, but a slow unravelling. The warmth that once wrapped around their heart begins to fade, like embers cooling after fire. The light within dims, not extinguished, but quieter, withdrawn. Something precious is slipping away. They can't name it, but they feel the loss, as surely as breath leaving lungs. They stop in the middle of the road. The mist thickens and memory floods in. Faces, laughter, prayers whispered in joy. Then, a single image rises above them all. A person once dear to them, their smile, their voice, their presence that once made the journey feel lighter. Gone now. The traveller's knees buckle. They sink to the ground, palms pressed into cold earth. No, they breathe. Not again. It's not just the loss of someone they love. It's the return of the ache they thought they'd outgrown. The absence of direction. The feeling of walking with hands outstretched in the dark. I trusted you, they whisper into the emptiness. Why does it still hurt this much? The wind answers only with stillness. The silence stretches until it feels unbearable. Tears fall, hot and relentless. The traveller doesn't fight them this time. They've learnt that grief isn't weakness. It's love refusing to disappear. Still, the pain cuts deep. I thought I was stronger now, they say softly. I thought faith meant I wouldn't break again. Somewhere in the quiet, a memory stirs. Jesus weeping at a tomb, tears mingled with those who mourned. The traveller closes their eyes, clutching that image. Even he, who could command the dead to rise, had allowed himself to weep. The realization pierces through the numbness. Grief isn't proof of lost faith. It's proof of love still alive. They breathe shakily, whispering, "You wept too, didn't you?" The air shifts, a breeze stirs the mist, faint but warm. It brushes against their cheek, like a hand wiping away tears. In that touch, they feel it. Not answers, but presence. The kind that doesn't try to explain pain away, but simply sits beside it. I miss them, the traveller says, voice cracking. I miss what was. The wind hums softly, I know. They bow their head, pressing a hand over their heart. Beneath the ache, the heartbeat continues, slower, deeper, but unbroken. Even in sorrow, the rhythm remains. Faith breathes still, quiet but alive. The traveller lifts their gaze to the darkened sky. The first stars are appearing, faint and far between. Their light is weak, barely piercing the mist, yet each one stands defiantly against the black. Hope, small but persistent. The traveller exhales, voice trembling. You're still here, aren't you? The breeze answers in silence, or so, but the warmth in their chest flares again. Faint, flickering. Enough. They pull their cloak tighter and sit beside the road. The grief doesn't vanish, but it softens. It becomes bearable, almost sacred. This time, they don't try to push it away. They let it breathe. Hours pass. The night deepens, swallowing colour and sound. Yet the traveller feels no fear. Grief has stripped them bare, but not empty. They begin to understand. Love and loss are not opposites, they are the same thread. One side sorrow, the other devotion. A faint sound breaks through the silence. A night bird's cry, low and lingering. The traveller looks toward it and sees something faint in the mist. A small flower growing at the edge of the road. Fragile, white, alive. They reach out and touch it gently. The petals are cool and trembling, yet they hold against the night. A soft laugh escapes the traveller's lips, broken but real. You're still bringing life out of loss, aren't you? The wind seems to smile. The traveller lies back against the earth, eyes fixed on the stars. The ache in their chest remains, but beneath it, a new understanding stirs. Faith doesn't erase grief, it redeems it. Loss doesn't signal abandonment, It's an invitation to discover presence in emptiness. They whisper, voice almost fading, "If I must walk through this night, then walk with me." And from the stillness, a quiet pulse answers, the same heartbeat that has carried them through every valley, every silence, every breaking. It beats strong within them now, even beneath the ache. The traveller closes their eyes, tears drying on their cheeks. "Then even in this," they murmur, "I'll trust you." Above them, the stars grow brighter. The night remains, but now it glows. The traveller sleeps there beside the road, sorrow folded into peace, loss wrapped in love. For in the dark soil of grief, something holy begins to take root, something that will one day bloom again. When dawn finally comes, it doesn't shout. It arrives softly, like a promise whispered through the mist. The traveller stirs beneath a blanket of dew, the chill of the night still clinging to their cloak. For a moment, they remain still, eyes closed, listening to the quiet hum of morning, to the slow rhythm of their own breath, to the faint song of birds testing the new light. The storm of grief has passed, leaving behind not emptiness, but stillness, a silence that feels alive. The air carries that scent only rain can leave behind. Wet soil, green beginnings, renewal. When the traveller sits up, the world around them shimmers with life. Tiny droplets hang from blades of grass, catching the first light and scattering it like jewels. The valley that last night felt like a grave now looks like a garden. The traveller exhales slowly. "You were working even in the dark," they whisper. The words are half awe, half confession. Grief had blinded them to what was still growing beneath the pain. God found out. Purpose, quiet and unseen, waiting for light to coax it upward. They rise to their feet, brushing away the damp from their cloak. The earth feels soft beneath their boots, alive with the rhythm of renewal. Everywhere they look, there are signs of life returning. Sprouts breaking through mud, the river glinting silver as it winds between rocks. The faint hum of bees stirring in distant fields. The traveller kneels beside a small patch of wildflowers that must have opened overnight. Their petals still glisten with dew, trembling in the early wind. "You grew through the storm," they murmur, "and somehow, so did I." They touch one of the flowers lightly. The petals cool against their fingertips. In that single moment, they feel it. The truth that pain was never the end, only the turning of the soil. Loss had broken them open, but through the cracks, something sacred had taken root. The memory of last night's sorrow lingers, but it no longer stings. It hums quietly beneath the surface, a reminder that love doesn't vanish with loss. It transforms, deepens, plants itself in the heart, where it can bloom again in new form. The traveller stands and breathes deeply. The air is heavy with the scent of wet leaves and growth. "Thank you," they whisper, "for not letting my pain be wasted." As they walk through the valley, sunlight begins to break through the thinning mist, turning droplets into stars. Every beam of light seems to move with purpose, as if heaven itself has stooped low to kiss the earth. The traveller watches it in silence, eyes soft, heart open. For the first time in what feels like forever, they feel joy. Not the wild, fleeting kind that fades with laughter, but the quiet, steady kind that comes from understanding. The joy of knowing that even in endings, God plants beginnings. A breeze rises, carrying warmth. The traveller lifts their head. The sound of the river calls again, gentle and rhythmic, and they follow it until they reach the water's edge. The surface ripples, reflecting sky and light and motion all at once. The traveller sees their reflection there, tired, scarred, but calm, different. They kneel and dip their hands into the cool water. It flows between their fingers effortlessly, constant, alive. "You never stop moving," they say softly, "even when I thought everything had stopped." They drink from the river, feeling it cleanse not just their thirst, but their spirit. When they rise again, something feels lighter, as though a burden has slipped off their shoulders without them noticing. They walk onward, passing through fields reborn. The land is vibrant now, birds weaving patterns across the sky, the hum of insects rising from the grass, the steady rhythm of creation rebuilding itself. The traveller can feel it pulsing in their bones, the reminder that resurrection is not a moment, but a process. Everywhere they look, evidence of new life glimmers, a butterfly emerging from damp leaves, the first fruit on a wild vine, the laughter of wind through open trees. And with each sight, the traveller's heart swells with gratitude. They pause by a tree that has split but not died. From its broken trunk, new branches have grown, each one reaching upward toward the light. The traveller runs their hand along the rough bark and smiles faintly. So this is what you do with broken things, they whisper. You make them bloom differently. Their heart feels full, not of answers, but of peace. The night taught them how to grieve. The morning teaches them how to grow. Faith, once tested in silence and loss, now moves through them like breath. They no longer need to chase purpose. It grows around them, within them. Every scar has become a seed. The road ahead waits again, visible beyond the valley, glimmering under the morning sun, winding upward through fields that sparkle with life. The traveller watches it for a long moment, knowing it's time to move on. But this time, they don't rush. They savour. Before leaving, they kneel once more in the damp earth. Thank you, they pray quietly, for the rain that broke me, and for the garden it left behind. The wind carries the scent of blossoms, and somewhere in it, they hear the faintest echo, the same voice that has walked with them through every rise and fall. I make all things new. The traveller stands, shoulders straight, heart open. Their eyes lift toward the horizon, where light spills across the land like a river of gold. The garden fades behind them as they begin to walk again, each step steady, alive, renewed. The rain is over, the world is green again, and the road calls forward, brighter than ever before. The world hums again. The traveller feels it the moment their foot touches the road, the faint vibration beneath the soil, the whispering rustle of leaves, the steady rhythm of life that seems to rise and fall in harmony. It's as if the earth itself is breathing, singing softly in time with heaven. Every sound feels deliberate, alive. The traveller walks slowly, careful not to disturb the music. Each step presses into damp earth, each movement joining the rhythm of creation. The morning sun glows warm against their back, painting everything in shades of honey and gold. Birds scatter through the trees, their calls overlapping in chaotic beauty. Not noise, but praise. They pause at the crest of a hill and close their eyes. The wind moves through their hair, brushing their cheeks like unseen fingers. Beneath it all, the faint pulse of these trees. Earth beats steady, deep, constant. The traveller listens. It's everywhere. In the hum of insects, in the creak of branches, in their own heartbeat. It's a song without melody, a hymn too vast for words. This is worship, they whisper, realization blooming quietly within them. Not just in temples or prayers, but in everything that lives. The memory of the garden lingers in their mind, the dew on the flowers, the green rebirth after rain. But here, the worship feels louder, fuller, not loud in sound, but in presence. The world seems aware of its maker, and in turn, the traveller feels aware of their place within it. They begin to hum, a soft tune at first, something wordless that rises from instinct rather than memory. The sound blends with the wind, the birds, the low murmur of creation. For the first time, they don't feel small in comparison to the world's vastness. They feel part of it. As they walk, every step feels like prayer. Every inhale feels like gratitude. Every exhale, surrender. Faith, once fragile, now dances in motion. The traveller understands. Worship is not only kneeling, it's walking with awareness. It's feeling the ground, noticing the sky and knowing that both exist by grace. The road bends gently into a valley. The sound of water reaches their ears, soft and steady. Following it, the traveller finds a brook winding lazily through a bed of moss-covered stones. The sunlight catches the surface, scattering reflections that shimmer like glass. They kneel at the edge, dipping their hands into the cool water. "You sing too," they murmur, smiling faintly. Every ripple, every drop, it all returns to you. The water responds with a soft gurgle, as though laughing in agreement. The traveller laughs too, the sound pure, unrestrained. The laughter echoes through the valley, and for a brief, holy moment, it feels like the world laughs back. They linger there for a while, listening. The more they listen, the more they realize that worship isn't something to be performed. It's something to join. It already exists, flowing through everything created. Every living thing contributes to the song. The wind, the stream, even the silence between sounds. Standing again, the traveller begins to walk along the water's edge. They hum louder now, the melody rising from deep within the chest. The sound is simple, imperfect, but true. It doesn't matter if no one hears it. Worship isn't for witnesses, it's for the one who's been walking beside them all along. "You've turned my walking into praise," they whisper, "my breathing into prayer." The wind responds by swirling around them, carrying the tune outward. The trees sway gently, as though bowing in time. For a moment, heaven and earth seem to blur, everything moving in perfect rhythm with something greater, unseen but undeniable. The traveller's steps grow lighter. They no longer walk with the heaviness of burden, nor the desperation of seeking. They walk in rhythm, each motion guided by gratitude. Even the simplest act, lifting a foot, taking a breath, feels like worship now. The path leads upward again, winding between meadows bright with flowers. Bees drift lazily between blooms. House, their hum blending with the traveller's song. The world doesn't feel quiet anymore, it feels alive. Like every sound, every motion, every heartbeat is part of one vast orchestra of praise. When the traveller stops to rest, they close their eyes again. Inside their chest, the same song continues. Softer now, but steady. They realize the music doesn't end when they stop walking. It plays on within them. Faith has become melody. Breath has become rhythm. Life itself has become worship. They open their eyes and gaze across the horizon. The sunlight dances on the fields, and the wind carries the scent of new blossoms. It feels as if the entire world is whispering one word. Hallelujah. The traveller smiles, tears glinting in the corners of their eyes. "You never needed my perfection," they whisper. "You only wanted my presence." They take another step, humming once more, their voice blending with the world's praise. The sound is no longer separate, it's woven into everything. As the road unfolds ahead, the light seems to thicken, not just sunlight, but something purer, divine. The air hums stronger now, not as a background, but as invitation. The traveller senses it deep within their chest, a pull, gentle but irresistible, leading them towards something holy. The song of the earth swells. The wind rises. The traveller's heart beats faster, keeping time with the unseen rhythm drawing near. They whisper softly, reverently, "You're coming closer, aren't you?" And though the world does not answer with words, it sings, through leaves and light and breath, until the traveller can no longer tell where their own voice ends and heaven's begins. The traveller walks in light that feels alive. The road glows faintly beneath their feet, not from sunlight, but from something deeper, something sacred woven through the air itself. The song of creation still hums softly around them, but now it feels as if the melody has narrowed, focused, drawn closer. Every sound, every movement seems to bend toward one center, one presence. They slow their pace. The air feels thick, almost trembling, charged not with fear, but expectancy. Their heart beats steady but heavy in their chest, a rhythm that feels like a question, waiting for an answer. The traveller glances to their side and freezes. Someone walks beside them. He doesn't appear with blinding radiance or the crash of glory. There is no fire, no crown, no overwhelming brilliance. Just a man, barefoot, cloaked in the dust of the same road. The air shifts subtly, the light bending around him, as though it knows its source has arrived. The traveller's breath catches. They don't need to ask who he is. Every part of them, body, soul, spirit, already knows. Jesus walks quietly, his gaze soft, his presence calm. The sound of his footsteps matches the traveller's perfectly, as if he's been there all along, only now made visible. The traveller tries to speak, but words fail. 1,000 thoughts crowd the mind. Questions, confessions, gratitude. Yet none feel worthy enough to say aloud. The silence stretches, not awkward, but sacred. Finally, Jesus speaks. His voice is gentle, steady, low, warm. It carries no echo, no weight of thunder, but it pierces deeper than any shout could. "You've come far," he says. The traveller nods, barely able to breathe. "I didn't know you were this close," they whisper. "I never left," he replies. "You just learned how to listen." They walk together side by side. The road ahead stretches endless, but it feels different now. Smaller somehow, manageable. The world, which once felt immense and uncertain, now feels like part of something held firmly in his hands. The traveller glances at him again. There's something about his face. Not just peace, but understanding. His eyes carry the kind of depth, that can hold both joy and sorrow without contradiction. They finally find their voice. "Why didn't you speak sooner?" Jesus smiles faintly, the corner of his mouth curving as though he's heard that question 1,000 times before. "You wanted a voice before you wanted me," he says gently. "And I don't speak to fill silence. I speak to reveal it." The words strike something deep. The traveller looks down at the ground, the truth settling like rain on dry soil. For so long they had begged for answers, signs, and words, when what they needed was presence. "I wanted you to tell me what to do," the traveller admits quietly. "And I wanted you to walk," he replies, "because faith grows stronger when it moves." They walk in silence again, but now it's a silence alive with meaning. Every breath feels like communion. Every heartbeat feels like a conversation continuing beneath words. After a while, the traveller asks softly, "Do you ever get tired of me asking why?" Jesus laughs lightly, the sound carrying through the air like music. "Never," he says, "but I love it more when you ask who." The traveller blinks, confused. "Who? Who I am in what you face. Who you're becoming because of it. Who's walking with you when you forget the way?" They fall quiet. The simplicity of his words unravelling the noise of every anxious thought. The road narrows into a path lined with trees. The branches arch overhead, their leaves glowing faintly in the warm light. The breeze carries the scent of something sweet. Not flowers, not earth, but something entirely new. The traveller feels it before realising it. Peace so complete it hums like a song. Jesus looks ahead as he speaks again. "You've learnt to find me in storms. You found me in silence. But now I want you to find me in stillness. When nothing asks, when nothing hurts, when you simply are." The traveller stops, staring at him. "You mean in peace?" "In peace," he says, "and in purpose, because one always leads to the other." The traveller nods slowly. "But I still don't know what comes next." Jesus turns to face them fully now. His eyes, calm, endless, ancient, meet theirs. "You will," he says, "because the road is not what's changing you. I am." Something inside the traveller breaks softly, not in pain, but release. They bow their head, tears falling freely, the kind that cleanse rather than wound. "I don't deserve this," they whisper. He steps closer, placing a hand over their heart. "You don't need to deserve what's already been given." The warmth from his touch floods through them, deep and consuming. It's not fire, it's light. A light that fills every shadow, every scar, every empty space. For the first time, the traveller hears his words, not just with ears, but with soul. "This is what my voice sounds like," he says quietly. "Truth without fear, love without condition, grace that breathes. When his hand falls away, the warmth remains, pulsing through every vein like a heartbeat reborn. The traveller lifts their gaze again, eyes wet, voice trembling. Then speak, Lord. I'm listening. He smiles, the kind of smile that holds eternity within it. I already am. They walk on together, steps in perfect rhythm. One heart, one pace, one purpose. The sound of the world fades, replaced by something deeper. A conversation without end, a truth too vast for language. The traveller doesn't ask another question. They don't need to. Because for the first time, they don't just walk by faith. They walk with it. And beside them, Jesus continues to speak. The road glows brighter now. The world around the traveller hums not with sound, but with a still vibration that seems to come from within everything. Stone, tree, ski, even breath. The air feels alive with purpose. The ground beneath their feet seems to pulse in rhythm with their own heart. And for the first time, the traveller doesn't just see the light, they carry it. It begins subtly. The warmth that Jesus left in their chest expands, spreading like dawn through their body. Each breath draws light inward, each exhale sends it outward. The weight of the past, fear, doubt, shame, begins to loosen, slipping away like dust shaken from an old garment. They can almost feel it leaving, piece by piece. The traveller looks down at their hands, once marked by exhaustion and scars. They now shimmer faintly under the sun. The scars remain, but they've changed. No longer reminders of pain, but of purpose. Proof that what once wounded them has become part of what makes them radiant. They whisper softly, "You've turned my wounds into windows." The air responds with a gentle breeze, carrying warmth across their skin. Somewhere deep inside, they hear his voice again. Not distant, not separate, but within them. That's what happens when you stop hiding what hurt you. Light can only shine through what's been broken open. Tears gather in their eyes, not from sorrow, but awe. The road stretches ahead, winding through rolling fields bathed in gold. Every step feels weightless, as though gravity itself has softened its hold. The world no longer looks threatening or uncertain. It looks alive, whole, connected. As they walk, they notice figures ahead, other travellers scattered along the road. Some sit in silence, their heads bowed under invisible burdens. Others stumble, unsure of their footing. The traveller hesitates. Once, they would have passed quietly, afraid of saying the wrong thing, afraid of being too small to help. But now, something within them burns. Not obligation, but compassion. They approach a woman kneeling beside the path, her hands covering her face. Her cloak is torn, her voice trembling as she whispers prayers into the dust. The traveller kneels beside her, wordless at first. Then, without thinking, they reach out and place a hand on her shoulder. A warmth moves between them. Quiet, pure, effortless. The woman gasps softly, lifting her head. Her eyes widen, not in fear, but in recognition. "You carry his light," she says. The traveller smiles gently. "We all do," they answer. "Sometimes it just takes time to see it." The woman's tears shift into something softer, her face easing as if she's exhaled years of pain. "I thought he'd forgotten me." "He never forgets," the traveller says, their voice steady but tender. "Sometimes he just sends someone to remind you." The woman nods slowly, her trembling stilling. When she stands, her steps are lighter, her gaze lifted. The traveller watches her walk away, a faint shimmer of light now visible around her too. The flame spreads, quiet, unstoppable. They continue onward. More people appear along the road, faces weary, eyes dim, hearts uncertain. To each one, the traveller offers something small, a word, a touch, a moment of silence shared. It's not grand, not miraculous, but real. The light that once seemed fragile now flows freely through them, touching everything it meets. For the first time, the traveller understands that transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming fully alive. They pause atop a small ridge as the sun begins to set. The sky ignites in hues of crimson and gold, the light stretching across the land like a final blessing. The traveller watches in stillness, feeling both part of the beauty and witness to it. "You've made me a reflection," they whisper, "not of who I was, but of who you are." The wind stirs, carrying the faint echo of his voice through the air. "That was always my intention." The traveller's heart swells with gratitude. Every scar, every loss, every valley, it all led here. The pain didn't destroy them. It shaped them into a vessel wide enough to hold grace and pour it freely into the world. The transformation isn't loud or sudden. It's quiet, steady, like dawn breaking over mountains that never stop standing. It's not perfection, but peace. Not an ending, but a beginning that feels eternal. They raise their face to the wind, eyes closed, letting the last rays of sunlight fall across their skin. The warmth spreads, deep and full, until they no longer feel the divide between flesh and spirit, heaven and earth. When they open their eyes again, the world itself seems brighter, not because it changed, but because they now see it through light instead of fear. The traveller takes a deep breath. They feel the pulse of creation moving through them, the quiet hum of divine life in every heartbeat. They are no longer simply walking the road. They are the road, a path for others to find their way, a light where darkness once reigned. They look back once at where they began. The valleys no longer seem cruel, the storms no longer feel like punishment. Every shadow, every silence, every tear had been preparing them for this. To carry love without walls, to shine without fear. A gentle peace settles over them, deeper than anything they've ever known. The traveller places a hand over their heart and smiles faintly. "You didn't just walk beside me," they whisper. "You made me part of your light." The sky deepens into indigo, stars beginning to bloom overhead. The traveller steps forward once more, no longer weary, no longer searching, radiant, whole, alive. And as the first stars awaken above, the world seems to whisper back, "This is what redemption looks like." Evening stretches across the horizon in soft gold, fading into shades of violet. The traveller walks slowly now, not from weariness, but from awareness. Each step feels deliberate, sacred, as though the road itself breathes with quiet reverence. The light that once surrounded them now moves within, calm, steady, unshakable. Peace has taken root, not the fleeting kind that rises and falls with circumstance, but the kind that abides, silent, still, immovable. The traveller feels it in every heartbeat, in every breath that meets the wind. There is no longer fear of what lies ahead, nor regret for what's behind. Only presence, full, complete, eternal. The world around them hums with the same rhythm. Trees sway gently, their leaves whispering secrets to the breeze. A river glides nearby, its surface smooth as glass, reflecting the colours of twilight. The traveller pauses to watch it, the ripples catching starlight as the first few emerge in the darkening sky. Everything feels alive, yet perfectly still. They kneel beside the river, dipping their hands into the cool water. The surface trembles, but beneath it remains calm. "This is what you meant," they whisper. "Peace that doesn't break when the world moves." A soft warmth fills the air around them, familiar, kind. The presence of Jesus feels near, not beside or beyond, but within. The traveller smiles faintly. They no longer need to look for him. He has become the breath between their words, the rhythm beneath their silence. They take a deep breath and exhale slowly, letting the peace sink deeper still. For so long, they thought peace meant rest, the end of striving, the absence of pain. But now they understand. True peace is not stillness without motion, it is movement without fear. It's the ability to walk through storms and still hear the quiet voice that says, "Be still." The traveller stands, watching the water flow. A memory flickers. The valley of heavy breath, the storm that shattered the sky, the nights of doubt and longing. Every moment that once felt unbearable now shimmers with meaning. Peace has not erased those memories, it has transformed them. They look up at the stars, thousands scattered across the heavens, pulsing softly like distant hearts. You've been constant, they whisper, even when I wasn't. The wind stirs again, carrying the faint scent of rain, though no clouds remain. It feels like a promise. The traveller smiles, eyes glistening. You never left me, they say softly. The air hums gently, answering without words. I never will. The traveller begins walking again. The night deepens, but it doesn't feel dark. The glow within them lights the path better than any torch ever could. They hum quietly, a song without form, a melody born of contentment. The same tune they once sang in fear now rises in praise. Peace follows their footsteps like a shadow made of light. It doesn't fade when the wind shifts or when the world grows silent. It lingers, not as an emotion, but as identity. At the bend of the road, the traveller spots a small cottage in the distance, its windows glowing faintly, smoke rising from the chimney. It feels familiar, though they can't recall ever being there. Still, their heart recognises it instantly. Home. They pause, taking in the sight. There's no rush to reach it. The peace they feel isn't waiting at the destination. It's here, already complete. For the first time in their life, arrival no longer defines fulfillment. They sit by the side of the road, legs folded, eyes turned upward. The stars seem closer now, their light brighter against the indigo sky. The air is cool, wrapping gently around them. Peace used to be something I chased, the traveller says quietly. But it was chasing me the whole time. The leaves rustle softly, the world nodding in quiet agreement. The traveller closes their eyes and listens to the water flowing, to the rustle of wind, to their own breathing. The sounds blend together until they form something deeper than silence, a symphony of stillness. They can almost hear heaven in it, a heartbeat that echoes through everything that exists. When they open their eyes, again, the night feels brighter, as though the stars have leaned closer to listen. The peace remains steady as the rhythm of the earth. They stand once more, lifting their face toward the sky. Even if the road twists again, they whisper, even if I don't know what's next, you are here. The warmth returns, enveloping them completely, not as fire, not as brilliance, but as rest. A peace that stays, not because the world has grown gentle, but because love has. The traveller begins to walk again, slower, softer. Each step feels like an act of worship, each breath a prayer. The path ahead glows faintly under the starlight, winding toward that distant home. The traveller feels no anxiety, no longing to hurry. They know now that peace is not found at the end of the road, but in the walking itself. They place a hand over their heart, that steady flame, that living reminder, and smile. You've made my heart quiet, they whisper, and that quiet will never leave me. The stars shimmer brighter, as though nodding in agreement. The traveller walks on, guided not by sight, but by stillness, a peace that moves with them, breathes through them, and will never fade, even when all else changes. For the first time they realise, peace is not the absence of journey. It is the presence of God, steady and sure, in every step taken toward home. The road narrows as dawn begins to break, painting the horizon with the same soft colours that once marked the start of the traveller's journey. The world feels familiar now. The smell of earth after rain, the cool hush of morning air, the rustle of trees waking with light. Yet everything is different. The traveller walks the same path, but no longer with the same heart. What once was a place of fear now feels like peace in disguise. They come upon the clearing where it all began, the quiet road beneath the bruised skakaol, the one where their steps first faltered and their spirit trembled. The memory floods back, the silence that felt heavy, the uncertainty that pressed on their chest, the whisper that started it all. Only now, standing in the same place, the traveller realises it wasn't the silence that frightened them. It was their inability to hear what was already being said. The air hums softly. The same wind moves through the tall grass, carrying that familiar scent of earth and grace. The traveller closes their eyes and breathes deeply, letting the moment sink in. So this is where it began, they whisper, and it's where I was meant to return. They kneel beside the path, their fingers brushing over the soil. Every detail feels alive. the same stones that once bruised their feet, the same dust that clung to their cloak. But now it all carries meaning. These were not obstacles, they were reminders. The road itself was a teacher, patient and kind. The traveller looks around, half expecting to see him, the figure that once walked beside them, the voice that turned. Silence into song, but there's no one there, only wind, light and breath. For a brief moment, a flicker of longing stirs in their chest. "Where are you now?" they whisper softly. The answer doesn't come from the sky or the road or the wind, it comes from within, not as words but as warmth. A steady, glowing truth that rises through every heartbeat. I never left. I was never ahead of you, never behind you, always within you. The traveller bows their head, tears welling in their eyes. I searched everywhere, they murmur, voice trembling, and you were here all along. The warmth deepens, filling every corner of their being. It's not a presence beside them, but a pulse, one that beats with their own. Every breath they take feels shared, every movement sacred. The road no longer stretches before them as something to conquer. It rests quietly beneath them, like a friend waiting to walk home together. They rise to their feet slowly, the light growing brighter. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, the river's faint murmur reaches their ears. That same stream from long ago, the one that once quenched their thirst and whispered of renewal. The traveller follows the sound, each step guided by memory and peace. When they reach the water's edge, it's just as they remember it, calm, clear, endlessly flowing. The reflection that looks back at them in the water startles them for a moment. Their face is older, yes, but not weary. Their eyes, once dimmed by doubt, now shine with quiet light. They kneel and touch the surface, watching the ripples expand outward. "You've brought me back," they say softly. But I'm not who I was. The wind moves gently through the trees. The surface of the water smooths again, reflecting both sky and face. Heaven and earth meeting in stillness. "You taught me that peace isn't waiting at the end," the traveller continues, voice barely a whisper. "It's been walking beside me, within me, the entire way." The stillness answers with a glimmer, sunlight catching the ripples, scattering golden light across the traveller's face. They laugh quietly through tears, understanding now that even laughter can be prayer when it's honest. For a long time, they sit there, listening to the song of the stream, watching light move across water. The sound that once felt like mystery now feels like home. Memories flow through them like the river, each valley, each storm, each step. None of it wasted. Every sorrow had purpose. Every silence was sacred. Every season, even the hardest ones, had led them back here, where everything began. They dipped their hand into the water again and let it run through their fingers. "You are never leading me from afar," they whisper. "You are leading me from within." A peace unlike anything they've ever known settles over them, deep, unmoving, eternal. They understand now that Jesus was never something to be found. He was someone to be remembered. Every whisper of kindness, every flicker of light, every steady breath had been his voice all along. As they rise to leave, the world seems to shine in quiet agreement. The road stretches ahead once more, glowing faintly beneath the morning sun. It doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like continuation. The same road, the same grace, the same presence, only now fully seen. The traveller takes one last look at the still waters. The reflection stares back, steady, calm, radiant. Not a person who has finished a journey, but one who has finally understood it. They smile faintly, hand resting over their heart. "You didn't just walk with me," they say softly. "You became the road beneath my feet." The breeze stirs again, carrying a warmth that feels like an embrace. The traveller turns, walking away from the river, the sound of flowing water fading behind them, but not from within. The road calls once more, not as a demand, but as invitation. The traveller answers, steps slow and sure, each one echoing peace, the kind that doesn't come and go, the kind that simply is. The light of morning softens into something timeless. The air is neither warm nor cold, neither day nor night. It feels eternal, like the pause between heartbeats. The traveller walks slower now, not from weariness, but from knowing the road no longer leads elsewhere. The destination is not ahead, it's here. The river glides beside them, its song the same as it was at the beginning, gentle, patient, endlessly flowing. The grass along the bank bends beneath the breeze, each blade shimmering like threads of light. The world feels hushed, as though creation itself has leaned in to listen. The traveller kneels once more beside the still waters. The reflection staring back is peaceful, not radiant with glory, but calm with understanding. They trace a finger through the water, watching ripples stretch outward until they fade into stillness again. I used to think rest was the end of the journey, they whisper, voice soft and steady. But it's not an ending at all, is it? The air around them shifts, familiar warmth blooming in the space beside them. They don't need to turn to know who stands there. The presence is unmistakable, gentle, infinite, alive. Jesus speaks, his voice as quiet as wind through leaves. Rest isn't the end, he says. It's the beginning without fear. The traveller smiles faintly, eyes still on the river. You walked with me through every valley, they murmur. Every silence, every storm. And I will walk with you still, he answers, even when the walking ends. They close their eyes. For a moment, the weight of every memory presses lightly against their heart, not as burden, but as blessing. The pain, the lessons, the tears, the laughter, all of it now feels woven together, threads of a story written by grace. Nothing wasted, nothing forgotten. The traveller lowers themselves to the ground, lying back upon the soft grass. The sky above stretches endless, painted in the faint blush of dawn. Clouds drift lazily, their edges glowing gold. The sound of the river fills the silence like a lullaby. This peace, the traveller whispers, it doesn't fade. No, Jesus says softly, because it was never made by circumstance. It was made by love. The traveller breathes deeply, the rhythm of their lungs sinking with the pulse of the world. For so long, they thought peace was something to reach, but now they understand it has always been something to return to. The same voice that once whispered at the beginning of the road still hums through the quiet. You are not alone. Tears gather at the corners of their eyes, not from sadness, but from the fullness of it all. You are in every step, they whisper, every breath, every silence. And you, Jesus replies, were never walking toward me, you were walking in me. The traveller lets out a shaky laugh, one hand resting over their heart. The warmth inside glows stronger, pulsing like the rhythm of creation itself. The fear that once haunted them, of failure, of loss, of being forgotten, dissolves completely. In its place remains only stillness. They open their eyes and see the reflection of the sky mirrored perfectly in the water beside them. No ripples now, no movement, just peace. Heaven and earth joined in one quiet image. The traveller reaches out, fingers brushing the water's edge. It feels cool, alive, infinite. Do I keep walking? They ask softly. Jesus kneels beside them, his voice tender. Not now, the road continues, but not as you knew it. You've walked far enough to understand that peace isn't found after the journey. It is the journey, and now, it lives in you. The traveller exhales slowly, closing their eyes once more. Then I am home. You always were, he says. Silence settles, not empty, but holy. Even the wind seems to stop in reverence. The traveller's body sinks deeper into the earth, but their spirit feels weightless, vast, limitless. Every heartbeat merges with eternity, until there is no separation between breathing and being, between self and saviour. The sound of the river fades into the rhythm of light itself, one endless flow. The traveller's lips curve into a faint smile as they whisper their final thought aloud. You have been my road, my rest, and my reason. The warmth of his presence expands. enveloping them like sunlight breaking through clouds. Everything brightens, the water, the sky, even the air itself, until it all becomes one seamless glow. There is no fear, no more striving, no more wandering, only stillness, to deep, alive, and eternal. And though the body lies quietly beside the river, the soul does not fade. It becomes part of everything it once sought, the song of the water, the shimmer of the sky, the whisper in the wind. The traveller is not gone. They are absorbed into the peace they walked so long to find. The light lingers on the water, reflecting eternity. In it, one can almost hear the final echo of a voice, not in farewell, but fulfillment. You have not just travelled the road, you've become part of its peace,